what all is actually in the actual system, because I think sometimes everybody isn't really sure what all is actually included inside of Propstream. So we're going to break down that, and then Burton's just going to show you all throughout the system and how you can actually use it to make money right now. Y'all ready? Yeah. All right, Burton's on you, brother.
All right, all right. Hey, everybody. Thanks for having me. Hope you guys enjoy this. I would probably really recommend getting your notes out and writing it all down. Good thing for you guys, I'm a visual learner, so I have some visuals for you guys. So let's start there. So just kind of from a top down, what we'll be covering today. If you were to ask me what is PropStream, this is what I would tell you. PropStream does two things for your business. It's a lead generation system. So you can go into PropStream, find a market of your choosing. And again, we're a nationwide data provider. So you can search any market nationwide. We're going to populate the results that we've collected for you in that area. And then you can filter through it, right? I would really recommend that you filter. Otherwise, you're going to be going through quite a bit of results. Now, after you filter, you'll get the motivated sellers that you're looking for or the cash buyers that you're looking for. You'll then want to save that list, followed by exporting it, and you're pretty much done. And that's all phase one of lead generation. Now, phase two is maybe you want the contact information, right? So maybe you want to take that list and get phone numbers and emails. So after building the list, before exporting it, you can actually skip trace it and then export it. So now you not only have your motivated sellers that you've customized and built on your own, but you got their cell phones and emails as well. Or you can take it all the way through our lead generation aspect and directly market to those leads as well. So not only did you build your leads through PropStream and get their contact information, but you can now send postcards, ringless voicemails, and emails. So literally at the comfort of your own home, not only can we find these motivated sellers, but we can directly market to them. And if we do this process correctly, it leads into what I call stage two of PropStream, which is property analyzing, right? Because someone's going to call you. Someone's going to say, hey, I got your postcard. I got your voicemail. Maybe you call them personally. So as you're speaking to these owners or before you speak to them, you're going to want to be able to pull up that address or find that address in your marketing list that you save and look at the details. There's going to be a lot of details that we're going to show you. And so in just a few, I'll be going over these details. But when you're looking at details, you're looking for opportunities. When I say opportunity, you're looking for some sort of leverage, I suppose is the best word, right? And that opportunity or leverage could be maybe the property is really old, right? Built in 1960. And so, if the owner is asking for full price, you can use that, that reasoning, the property being more than 60 years old, as the reason why you can't do full price, because you have to go in there and, rehab it and get it to, modern standards. Other opportunities could be the location of the owner, how long they've owned the property. Maybe there's a pre-foreclosure or a lien. Maybe there's more than one mortgage on the property. And that's what we do. And so after finding these opportunities, you're going to obviously want to make an offer, right? Now, what is your offer, right? If your idea of making an offer is, we're always going to get them at 60%. Well, what's 100%? So in order to make an offer of, 60%, 70%, 50% on that property, you have to know what it could sell for after it's been fixed up in rehab. And that's running comps. So in PropStream, you can actually run comparables or run comps using public records. So it's like going to the county and saying, hey, I'd like to see all your sell records and trying to find the properties that are very similar. Or you can use MLS records, which is what an agent uses. So you actually have access to MLS nationwide. So you can actually run comps, not just using public records, but you can run comps using the same records as an agent would, right? Show me properties that are currently listed. Show me properties that are that currently have a bid offer on it pending, or show me a listing that recently sold. And finally, you're going to want to print out that report, because if you do get an appointment and you end up having to go to that homeowner to start negotiating, you're going to want to make sure you have that report with you, because again, they might want full price and you're going to have to show them why you can't do that. And then vice versa on the other end. Let's say you end up getting that property on contract, and then you are now marketing the contract to some investors or buyers, but they don't believe you have a great deal, right? So you might have a property, and you're, you might have it locked in at 300,000 or $70,000, and it could sell for 200,000, right? So here's a property you have locked in at 70. It could sell for $200,000 or more, but you have to convince your investor that. And how are you going to do that? It's the comps report. You can tell your investor, hey, based on the data, and data doesn't lie, here are properties that are very similar that sold either in a quarter mile from this house's location, or a half mile, or a 1 mile radius. So we literally can do a lot for you. I guess the only things that we can't do for you is we don't send out contracts and we don't negotiate for you. We definitely can find you the leads. We can get you their contact information. You can market to them, and then you can analyze them and get, what the ARV or the after repair value is on that property, and anything that you potentially can see that may be beneficial when you're negotiating with that homeowner. Okay. So that's the two-part process of Propstream. This is why a lot of people have really enjoyed Propstream, especially now when everybody's pretty much locked at home. A lot of this information, again, you could have gone to the county, but a lot of these counties are currently closed, yet we still have access to that information. So this is why you're starting to hear more about Propstream, is because we can literally take care of a lot of your business from the comfort of your home. Now, at the very end, we'll be also talking about some additional features like our team member account, and then our list automator. And what list automator does is it allows you to actually monitor a marketing list. So it will automatically add properties that meet your criteria. It will also remove properties from a list that no longer meets your criteria. That way you're saving money. Rather than sending 100 postcards every single time, it will tell you that 20 properties need to be deleted. And that way you're sending 80 postcards the next time around. So List Automator is designed to save you money. And it also allows you to import data to Propstream. So you can import data into Propstream and we'll give you our data. So great way to update an old list. Great way to give you our information that maybe another provider that you pull the list from doesn't have. So we'll be discussing that. So I wanted you guys to see what we'll be discussing today. I'm going to go ahead and jump into Propstream. But before I do that, let's talk about what a lead is. And again, I'm a visual learner, so I do have another visual for you. This is what I call the motivation chart. Okay. So a lot of times people will call me and say, Burton, what are the best leads? Unfortunately, there isn't a shortcut, right? I wish there was. I wish I could say, hey, build this lead. This lead's going to yield the best results. And don't get me wrong, there are some out there that could. But at the end of the day, what a lead really is that it's a person with a problem, right? And so there are some lists that are bigger problems than others. But at the end of the day, we need to understand who we're helping. And that's a person that's going through a situation, right? Now, we have several categories that you can go through. So let me break them down for you. We have cash buyers, high equity listings, free and clear, which are properties with no mortgages, flippers, properties that are being flipped on the MLS after being owned for less than 2 years. We got bankruptcy records, divorce records, vacant records from the postal office. You could build your own list like a tired landlord. We have liens. We have failed listings. We have tax delinquencies. We have your pre-foreclosures that have an auction date, and then you have your foreclosures. So these are the categories that you have access to through Propstream. But when we break it down into the level of motivation, this is how I've pictured it over the last 8 years of dealing with data. And that is that a homeowner will be in 3 stages of their homeowner life cycle. And that's going to be that they're good, right? So they're like a cash buyer, like maybe you are, or they own a lot of equity on that property. Maybe it's free and clear and it's been a property that's been passed down for generations. Or maybe they're a flipper like some of you guys, right? You're buying up properties and then flipping them back on the MLS. Now, this is what I call the good, because let's think about it. Let's say you bought a property for $100,000 in cash. And then all of a sudden I come knocking on your door and I'm like, hey, I'm a wholesaler. I'd like to get your property at $60,000. Would you like to cash out? you're going to slam on the door in my face, right? You didn't just spend $100,000 in cash just to sell it to somebody like me for 60,000. I mean, you just lost 40,000 in cash. Where's the logic in that, right? Same with high equity, same with free and clear, same with flippers. However, something could happen where these individuals can maybe consider your option. So, for example, what if that cash buyer filed for bankruptcy? Or what if that cash buyer has a divorce record on the property, right? Or what if that high equity property is currently vacant? Or what if that free and clear property has a tax delinquency on it because they're not paying taxes? So you may own the property outright, but you still got to pay taxes, right? Or what if that flipper that you're looking at has a failed listing? So these are what I call the uh-oh scenarios. These are the things that give us an indication that something's boiling, right? Something's happening. And we can aim here and resolve this situation as soon as possible because at the end of the day, again, we're here to solve a problem. Now, from the homeowner's perspective, the homeowner has really two options at this point. When they're in this uh-oh scenario, they either resolve it and then they go back to being a good homeowner and no need to sell you a discounted property, right? Or this situation is not resolved. So that bankruptcy is not taken care of. That divorce is really ugly. That lien you didn't pay off. So it causes a pre foreclosure or an auction, right? And so when you understand the stages of this homeowner, you understand where the motivation climbs. So when we go from good, there's no motivation. Uh-oh, okay, a little bit motivation, right? And it climbs as it gets closer to not being resolved. And finally, when you get in your pre-foreclosure auctions and foreclosure, you see that level of motivation climb, okay? So reason why I'm showing you this is because you get to choose wherever you want to land on this graph, whether it's in a very motivated area, least motivated area, or you already have a contract and you just need to go find a buyer or a flipper, right? So Propstream gives you access to all of this. Now, today we're going to be focusing on building a list of motivated sellers. But the reason I want you to understand this graph is because when you're diving into a very motivated area like pre-foreclosures, you are going to get some huge discounts because these are homeowners that don't have time to negotiate. Beggars can't be choosers. You're going to get faster closing because you, again, are racing against the auction date or racing against the bank trying to take that property back. But it's also very competitive. I mean, just the fact that you know you can close fast, get big discounts. I mean, you're like, yeah, that's a no-brainer. Let's go in that area, right? And I'm not stopping you from doing it. You should, right? You should definitely be doing you should be marketing to everybody that is in a distressed category. But this is a highly distressed category. And when you're dealing with highly distressed categories, you're dealing with a lot of competition. So again, Propstream not only lets you deal with motivated areas, knowing that it is going to be very competitive, but Propstream also lets you edge out your competition by looking for those early stages, right? We can wait for a lien to turn into pre-foreclosure, or why don't we just call the lien now and try to solve it before it goes into pre-foreclosure? And that's why I have these arrows here, right? Because when I'm looking for a lien versus a pre-foreclosure is very motivated as a homeowner. A lien, not as motivated yet, right? And that's why follow-up is very important. This is why marketing is very important, right? And a lot of people fail to take action here. They think that, I'm such a great salesman or woman that I should be able to just call them once and close the deal. Now, when you call them and they say no, I would say about 60% do not follow up. And so when you're not following up, you're not really, trying to understand the situation that homeowner's in. So again, when you're in a very motivated area, sure, it may take one phone call or two phone calls to lock up a deal. But again, you're competing with other investors that are also trying to make that phone call. So good luck if you even get the phone answered. And if you do, you better do your job to get that phone, that contract signed, right? Because this is a very motivated category. You're, again, limited on time, but you can definitely get some great, great discounts here. But if you need more time and you're, don't want to compete with the competition, we can start in the uh-oh, like a lien. Maybe when I call them the first time, they're going to be like, I don't know what you're talking about. Stop calling me. Maybe they even hang up, right? Or cuss me out. That's fine because I know the motivation isn't there yet. But I'm going to follow up because after 2 or 3 weeks, I'm going to call you again and hopefully, the situation is resolved. But if my records still show you have a lien, if Propstream still says you have a lien, then yeah, you deserve that second follow up. Again, this is where 60% of investors fall off. They get so intimidated on that first call, right? That being cussed out shocked them so much that they put that person on the I'm not going to follow up list. And that's something you should really reconsider. But I get cussed out and I don't take it personally. So a few days or weeks later, I call again and they may cuss me out again, or they might be a little bit more nicer this time around, but they're still going to say no because they're not yet motivated. But again, third follow up, maybe it's 2 months later. At this point, you should have taken care of that lien, but 2 months into your lien recording, if you haven't taken care of it, we're only getting closer to you going into pre-foreclosure. So that third follow-up, maybe the homeowner is a little bit nicer and I'm able to get a little bit more information, maybe time frame, maybe a price, maybe a reason as to why they would consider selling. Maybe I'm laying out options for them. And then that fourth follow-up, right? Call them 5 months into that list I pulled. So 5 months later, I'm calling them after the fourth or fifth follow-up. And they say, you know what, I'm getting a lot of notifications from my bank that they're going to foreclose on my property. Why don't you come by and we talk about, what options you have available for me? So essentially, by me finding someone earlier and just me being patient, because I know the motivation isn't as high as a pre-foreclosure, we were able to lock up a deal, hopefully, before the investors that are waiting for pre-foreclosures even gets to see it, right? And here's another reality. What if you did follow up with them and the homeowner is still like stubborn and they still don't want to deal with you? And then all of a sudden you see them show up in the pre-foreclosure area. It's still good for you because when they show up in the pre-foreclosure area, guess what? That's when all the other investors start calling them. So some investors only do pre-foreclosure. And so by us looking ahead of that, we're able to, build a relationship. And so when the owner gets into pre-foreclosure and then all of a sudden they're getting hundreds of phone calls and then you decide to call, guess whose number is probably going to stand out the most? It's most likely yours because you've been following up for 5 months. Now imagine being on the homeowner's end, right? You're in pre-foreclosure, you're about to lose your home, you're probably embarrassed to your wife or kids or your spouses and kids, right? And here's a person, that's been calling me for 5 months and I've been cussing you out. I've been stubborn. And I'm like, oh, I'm going to take care of it. I don't need your help. And then all of a sudden I'm in pre-foreclosure. And then all of a sudden, hundreds of investors are calling me, everyone saying, oh, Burton, I can help you. I can make sure you're good. I can take care of you. I can make sure you walk away with money in your pocket. Who do I believe? Do I believe the people that are just calling me, telling me they can help me? I don't even know who they are. These numbers are unrecognizable. Or do I call that one person who knew about my problem 5 months ago and is still here trying to help me? Look, as a homeowner, again, selling a house is the biggest ticket ever. And you have to build trust in order to get the access to that ticket, right? So when I'm dealing with the lien over time, even when it turns into a pre-foreclosure, when I call, I stick out like a sore thumb amongst everybody else. And I've built enough rapport that the homeowner feels that I'm more trustworthy than all these others that are calling. Okay. So I wanted to spend time on this graph and the outline so you understand what a lead really is. It's a person facing a problem, and some of these problems are very motivated than the others. So if you're calling liens and people are not wanting to deal with you on that first phone call, don't stop. Follow up, follow up, follow up. So again, 60% of investors don't do that second follow up. And then that homeowner turns into a pre-foreclosure. And then you're like, man, I wish I would have just followed up a little bit more because I probably could have helped them before they got into that situation. And then that investor that I see on a Facebook group all of a sudden has that on a deal, right? So let's think about that. Okay. So with that said, let's dive into Propstream. So Propstream has been around for 15 years. I've been blessed to be part of it for 7.5, almost 8 years now. So what do? We collect data for you. We go to the county, we talk to brokers, we go to the postal office, we call the lenders, we get as much data as possibly so you can make by far the most informed decision, right? So in terms of stage one lead generation, I'm in Propstream now. And just to get familiar with the toolbar, search is where phase one occurs. You search, you filter, and then when you save from the search page, we store it in your My Properties. And once it's here, you can export it and we will see you later. Now, if you want contact information, then after you save your list in My Properties, just click on skip tracing, follow steps 1, 2, and 3. And after you place your order, in about 5 to 15 minutes, right below My Properties is contacts. This is where we store your skip tracing results. So here in contacts at the bottom left, I can see the contact information. Guys, I can see the contact information, and what I'm able to do is I'm able to now export this information, right? So now I can export it. Again, this is a list of motivated sellers plus their contact information, which is important because in today's society, I can probably safely conclude that about 9 out of 10 people walking around probably have a smartphone in their pocket, right? So having access to a landline, a cell phone, an email, which is tied to a cell phone, is very imperative, right? Or we could send postcards. Again, I don't want to stop you from doing what you need to do. I know some of us will knock on doors, send postcards, cold call, ringless voicemails, text messaging. So this right here is very important because you have access to those extra avenues of marketing once you have a phone number and an email. And again, about 5 to 15 minutes after getting your results, you can check them off, hit exports, and now you can walk away with not only your motivated sellers list, but their contact information. Or lastly, right below skip tracing and contacts is your campaigns. So this is where I can now take that same list I built with their contact information and create a campaign which I can make a website for them. So if I have a list of 100 pre-foreclosures and I start a campaign, I get to create a landing page for those 100 homeowners. So rather than giving out my phone number and my email, if they really need my help in this campaign, for example, here's the landing page that they get to go to. So this landing page says, hey, I buy houses in cash, or whatever your message is. And then you get to enforce that message, but there's an application at the very bottom. So again, without giving out my cell phone or email, what I'm doing is I'm forcing these leads to go to a website. And if they really, really, really need my help, they're going to give me their name and their email and their phone number and a message. So if I market to 100 leads and 20 of them fill out this form, what does that mean? That's 20 warm leads that I just got. Why would they take the time to go to this landing page and fill out this information? They took the time because they really need my help. So any notifications I get from a website, those are hot leads, warm leads. You better call them right away. Okay. But that's the idea, is that you get to create as many campaigns as you want. One for tax liens, one for buyers, one for pre-foreclosure. And every single one gets its own website. Every single one has a certain amount of people in that audience, right? This could be, in this case, there's only 2 people in this address or in this marketing campaign versus that first one that has 3 versus this one that has 5 versus this one that has 50, right? So every campaign gets a website. And then from there, you get to decide how we're going to get them to this website by choosing an activity. Are we going to send a postcard and give them our phone number and put this website on that postcard? Are we going to send a voicemail and then, we're going to do our own recording? Hey, this is Bert. I'm a local investor. If you need any help with that pre-foreclosure, with that tax lien, why don't you give me a call or visit my website at so-and-so, right? Or we do the email marketing. Since we have that email, we send them an email template, says what we, tells them what we can do. And then from there, if they click on learn more, they go to our website and hopefully they fill out that application. So this is our lead generation process. Search, save, you can export, or you can skip trace and then export from the contacts page, or you can take it all the way home. Just go ahead and run that campaign and send postcards, voicemails, or emails. And again, if you do that correctly, it will lead into hopefully someone calling you and giving you a call. So let's go through lead generation, right? Let's pull up an example today. And so what I'll be doing is, let's use Las Vegas. I've been spotting that. I'm in Southern California, so I've been kind of eyeing it. So I'm going to use Las Vegas as an example because I might just actually use this list for personal reasons. So Las Vegas, again, I get to choose. Do I want very motivated homeowners? And if so, I can choose the pre-foreclosures, right? So when you search a market like I did with Las Vegas, it tells us everything that we have. There's 500,000 public records, MLS records, vacant records that you can go through, right? And if you want to go through 500,000 records, please don't let me stop you. Have fun, have at it. Clearly, that's probably going to be time consuming. So what we did for you is we took these records and we categorized them for you. 10,000 MLS listed properties. So I don't need to be an agent, but I get to see active listings and sold listings and all that good stuff without calling a local realtor. Pre-foreclosures, right? Your auctions, your notices of trustees, your notices of defaults. A lot of pre-foreclosures here. So to make your life easier, we took out all the auctions, the pre-foreclosures within auctions, and put it in its own category. So if you're an auction investor, this is it right here. Here are your foreclosures, or what we call your bank owned. So foreclosure is when a bank takes back the property. And here are the 1,000 properties that are now, bank owned. Cash buyers. So these are all the properties that have been bought in cash, but by someone that doesn't live in it, right? There's a difference. When someone buys a property in cash, they're either going to buy it and buy it for personal reasons. Like, let's say you guys are all millionaires and you see a house that you love and you want to live in it. Yeah, you can pay cash for it and live in there. Does that mean you're an investor? Not necessarily, right? So cash buying transactions, there's two types. Ones that are buying and then they occupy the property, and ones that buy and they don't occupy the property. And this is what that list is. We did you the favor of going through every cash bought records and removing the occupied ones. These are all the non-owner occupied cash transactions. Liens. So two types of liens: voluntary, involuntary. This is the involuntary. Involuntary is something you don't want on your house, because if you get this type of lien on your house, it could cause a pre-foreclosure. These liens are federal and state taxes, property taxes, HOA liens, utility, mechanical, solar panel, someone suing you, you're not paying child support. So these are the liens that, if not resolved, again, the uh-oh scenario, they can cause a pre-foreclosure. Vacant are addresses not answering the mail. So every month, the United States Postal Service has a list of addresses that didn't answer the mail the following month. And this is what that list is. So this month, there are 19,000 properties that, for whatever their reason, didn't answer their mail. Now, be careful, because when I say vacant, as an investor, you're probably picturing like an abandoned building or boarded up windows. That is not what the United States Postal Service deems as vacant. Again, what they're deeming is just an address that isn't answering their mail. And look at this property. It looks very, very new, and this address is not answering the mail. Why is that? As you can see here, it sold last month. Well, why is it vacant then? Well, because the previous owner forgot to forward the mail. It's simple as that. Because think of yourself as the mail carrier, right? You're delivering mail, and you're delivering mail to this address, and you've been doing it for the last 5 years. This is your route. And you don't know about sales. Like, you're not an investor, so you don't know if people are buying up houses. You don't know if the person you're delivering the mail to is in pre-foreclosure or bankruptcy. Your job is to just deliver the mail. And so last month, as you're delivering it to Pizzazo Street, you realize, you know what, that first week, the mail wasn't answered. Second week, mail wasn't answered. Third week, mail still not answered. What's going on? So inevitably, you, the mail carrier, are going to put this address on your vacant sheet. Again, your definition of vacant is different than ours. Your definition of vacant is someone not answering the mail. So this address is on that vacant sheet. And then when we bring it into Propstream, we're able to identify, well, someone just bought it and that's why it's vacant. For example, if I sell you my house and I forget to forward my address, your house is on the vacant list, even though you just bought it, because the mail carrier put it on the vacant list. So why am I emphasizing this? Because filtering is important. If you do not filter your results, you're going to end up calling people that just bought a house. And why would someone who just bought a house less than 3 weeks ago sell you a house for a discounted price? Makes no sense. Okay, so understand that. And then high equity, which is our last category. These are properties that have 100,000 or more in equity, or 50% or more in equity. So these are the 8 categories of properties that you can build a list from. Now, again, there's a lot of results here, and I do not recommend that you just go through them, but I'm not going to stop you. If you want to go through 19,000 vacant records, have at it. Don't let me stop you. But in reality, what we would really like you to do is after searching the market, we would want you to go to in the filter. And from here, you can choose any of those 8 categories, right? From MLS down to high equity, or the additional 6 that are hidden in our filter, which is the free and clear, properties with no mortgages, bankruptcy records, 7, 11, and 13, divorce, tax delinquency, properties that didn't pay their taxes on time. And a tax delinquency, the way it works is that if you, every year, every 6 months, you have to pay your taxes. If you don't pay your property taxes on time, you're on the tax roll or the tax delinquency roll. And if you continue that behavior, then your delinquency turns into a tax lien. And then if you continue that behavior, your tax lien turns into a pre-foreclosure. So what I like to look at this list is that this is kind of like an advance notice before it goes into a tax lien. Okay, so it's an early sign. The only challenging part about this is it's a numbers game because you are dealing with a list that only comes out once a year. So you may call someone and they say, you know what, I just paid that lien or that tax off, so I'm not interested, right? So just understand this only gets updated once a year. Flippers, properties that have been bought and then in less than 2 years, they're put back on the market for sale. Now, why would someone do that? It's probably because they're an investor, right? You buy a property that looks distressed, your team goes in there, they rehab it, they fix it. Hopefully you do all of that within less than 2 years. You call your agent, hey, I'm going to sell a property now. That behavior is an investor, and we're only able to do this because we have access to MLS records and public records. This is the only area that you're going to find flippers. Propstream is the only provider as of right now that has it. If you see it anywhere else, trust me, they probably duplicated what we did for the most part. And again, we only have that because we have these MLS records. And then failed listings. These are properties that were on the MLS, and for one way or for one reason or another, they failed, meaning they were withdrawn from being listed, it expired, or the agent, for whatever their reason, doesn't want anybody else to see the listing anymore, right? So it still could be active, but we won't know because the agent has shut down all public eyes from looking at it. So that's what a failed listing is. It's one of those 3: withdrawn, expired, or the agent just decided not to put it out publicly anymore. Okay. So first thing you want to do is search, then go into the filter, and then decide, again, use that graph. And if we go back to the graph, let's say we want a pre-foreclosure, very motivated. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to go and choose pre-foreclosure. And I can stop. I can say, okay, we got the 1400. We'll start marketing the 1400. I don't have the budget for that, I can tell you right now. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to need to tighten up that list a little bit. So go from 1400 and narrow it down to something that I really like. So the first thing we're going to give you on the left-hand side is owner occupied. Do you want an owner actually occupying that property, or do you want it to be a absentee owner, right? Non-owner occupied, or maybe you want both. And you got to think outside of the box here, right? If it's owner occupied, it means that if I knock on the door, that the owner is most likely there. If it's non-owner occupied, guess what? If I knock on a door, the owner's not there. It could be a tenant or it could be abandoned. So just controlling this allows you to know, the level of, maybe the kind of marketing you're going to be using. Now, occupancy status, remember vacant listings, is someone answering the mail or are they not answering their mail? See, because on paper, it says someone's supposed to be living there, but the United States Postal Service is telling us that, yes, nobody's answering the mail. So there are 45 properties in Las Vegas that someone's supposed to be there, but they're not answering the mail. Could they be on vacation? Could they have been in the home? Could there be a medical issue? I don't know. But the Postal Service is telling me that no one's answering the mail as of last month. Or, again, if I'm going to door knock, I don't want it vacant, right? So I want it owner occupied and I want someone that answering the mail. So when I knock on these 852 doors, someone's actually there, right? At least as of last month, they've been answering the mail. Once we're done controlling that, we now have property characteristics that we can apply, followed by MLS characteristics. So now we can take these pre-foreclosures and add MLS details to it, on, off market, off market. We can also refine or add additional pre-foreclosure criteria to it. We can add ownership info, so property characteristics. And I'll go over this really quick with you guys, but I'm just letting you know the options that you have first. So pre-foreclosure filters, ownership filters, lien, bankruptcy, divorce status filters, valuation and equity filters, like how much the property is worth on an estimated value scale, what it would rent out for, how much it's grown, what the equity is, and last but not least, mortgage information. So you have over 150 different filters to essentially narrow down the leads that you really want. So just to give you guys an example of how I would approach it, if I'm looking for a very motivated pre-foreclosure, right? From the get-go, 1,400 of them are very, there's a lot, right? So I got to now narrow it down. So I'm going to do owner occupied because I like knocking on doors and I want to make sure that someone's answering the mail. So if I do send a postcard or I knock on a door, they're there, at least as of last month. That's what the record shows. Now, regarding property characteristics, these pre-foreclosures could be commercial, vacant land. So what I want is residential, and not just any type of residential like an apartment or duplex or triplex or quadplex. I just want single families. That's it. So now you can see the list getting smaller and smaller every filter I'm adding. Now you also have bedrooms and bathrooms. So maybe in this area, nobody wants to buy one bedroom properties. It's not a great investment opportunity. So we want to at least minimize it and look for just the 2 bedrooms or more. Same with bathrooms, right? Building size, square footage, lot size, square footage, year built, right? Las Vegas is hot. And so, dealing with like an old building means a roof, HVAC, and all that good stuff. So what if we're looking for a property that's built in 2015 or later? So it's only 5 years old. Here are 24 homeowners that are in pre-foreclosure and the house is only 5 years old. Right? And so we went from 1,400 down to 24 doors I can knock, much more controlled audience. Or for those that like to get your hands into the rehab condition, you can look for a property that's old. Maybe you're looking for something that's 1990 or built before 1990. And so here are 279 properties where, hey, if I call the owner and they want full price, I'm going to let them know that their building is 30 years old. And if they haven't done the roof recently, which typically a roof needs to be done in about 30 years, then that's why I can't give them full price. Or if they're going to do the roof for me, I'll come back and then give them full price, which is probably not going to happen because they're in pre-foreclosure and they don't have the time, nor probably have the funds to do any rehabbing at the moment as well. So just controlling these filters allows you to kind of add more pain to the situation, whether it's a new building and you don't need to do anything to it, or it's an old building and because it's old, that's why you're going to be able to get a lower price for it. You also have home features. So maybe you want a pool. It's Las Vegas, right? That's, it's a great offer or great investment opportunity there. Maybe you're a multifamily type of investor and you're looking for something with a certain unit number, right? Like 5 to 10 units, 14 to 20 units. Maybe you're very keen on making sure the property is in a certain school district, so you can type in the school district. And then HOA, COA properties. So HOA, Homeowners Association, you can include properties that are in it, or you can exclude it. I'll leave it with you. I mean, there are benefits to having it and not having it. Some benefits of having it is most of the properties, if they're in an HOA, HOA is sometimes very strict. So they're very uniform. So that keeps the property values in the neighborhood pretty high, right? Because they're going to get on someone's case that doesn't cut their grass. They're going to get on someone's case that's painting the house, a purple or gold color, right? Something that's going to make the neighborhood just look awkward. Now, when you remove an HOA, what are the benefits there? You get to pretty much do pretty much anything besides, you still have to get permits, but you don't have to worry about HOA breathing down your neck about the things that you're doing in terms of rehabbing your property, right? So benefits to both. I want to make sure you guys know why we have them in here and how it could impact your potential leads. Okay. So in this case, I'm going to do both. I don't mind. So what I'm looking for are pre-foreclosures that are owner occupied. Someone's answering the mail. It's a residential single family with at least 2 bedrooms. Now that I'm done with property characteristics, we can stop there, 745, but I still want to add more things. Like for fact, I want to make sure I go into the MLS status. And what most of us will do is choose something that's not listed with an agent. So 700 goes down to 688. Now get creative. Let's look at the graph a little bit, right? How do I increase that motivation? Well, what if it's not on market because it recently failed on market? So here's two pain points, right? So here are people that wanted to sell, maybe because they're in pre-foreclosure, like, okay, I got to sell it now. And so they tried to sell it, but they failed for whatever the reason is. It didn't sell, at least based on MLS records. And so 49 properties out of the 1,400 probably are more motivated than all the other ones because they tried to sell. And just because it failed doesn't mean they don't want to sell. I mean, they want to sell. They just couldn't do it through that agent. Maybe you have the solution to help them get that sell, or help them get the funds that they need, or help them get them out of that situation that they're in. So get creative. You know, it could be off market because it failed. Maybe you're looking for something that's on market. You like dealing with agents and you want it with a new roof. There's a lot of things that you can do with the MLS. So again, get creative, or just new something. Show me something that's in pre-foreclosure, it's on market, and has a new roof, a new kitchen sink. Here are the properties that are on market with something new added to it. You could even put when they're listed, again, the status, how many days it's been on the market. So show me pre-foreclosures that are listed and they've been on the market for like 3 months and no one's buying them. 26 properties. Guess what? I can call the owner and say, hey, you know, I'm interested in your property, but I'm not going to get it for the listing price. Would you consider a private offer? Yeah, well, you know what? I would consider that. This contract is about to expire, and we go from there, right? So we can either wait for them to expire, or we can contact the ones that have been on market for 3 months and no one's buying right now. So get creative. Listing amounts, whether it was listed below the estimated value, or perhaps it was a property that failed just this month or last month. Okay, so I know a lot of us usually want to just look for off-market properties, but there's reasons why we want to look for off-market property. Again, it could be off-market because it failed and so forth. So just get creative at the end of the day. And if I did do fail, if we looked at the graph, we went from a pre-foreclosure and to a pre-foreclosure with a failed listing. So that person's a little bit higher on the motivation chart, right? And so that is our MLS status area. We also have, again, the pre-foreclosure filter. So here I can refine my pre-foreclosure by choosing what type of pre-foreclosure, when it was recorded, when the auction will be held, the opening bid amount, or maybe I'm looking for something that was in pre-foreclosure and it was released earlier this year, or a pre-foreclosure that has a certain default amount to it. Once we're done with the pre-foreclosure, we have the ownership info. So now we can dissect the owner's information. So I don't want corporate owners. I just want individual owners.
Here. Okay.
I want 5 years of ownership, 7 years of ownership, 10 years of ownership, whatever you may want, or last sell date, your choice there. You can specify what they bought the property for the last time they bought it. You can even specify where the owner is at. Maybe the owner is in a different state. Could you imagine living in a different state and one of your properties has a pre-foreclosure on it? Either take care of it, or you're more willing to just say, you know what, you can just have it because I have problems already I'm dealing with in my own state right now. So I get that it's in pre-foreclosure. Just give me the right price. You can have it, right? Because this is a person, again, out of state. And my personal opinion on it is the further you live from your property, especially an investment property, the more responsibility that you have to give to others, like a property management group, a realtor, contractors. And so imagine you're out of state property in pre-foreclosure. You're probably like, yeah, this is too much of a headache. I don't want to fly down there. I don't want to do anything anymore in a different state. So just go ahead and take it, or give me the right offer and you can have it. So this is important, controlling where the owner is, especially if it's a non-owner occupied property. You can also include unknown sell dates. So again, we've been collecting records for 15 years that we actually have records of properties where we don't even know when they last sold. Could have sold in like 1905, 1900, 1915. So you can include properties where the literally are no unknown sell dates. You have your lien, bankruptcy, and divorce status. So here you can not only look for pre-foreclosure, but you can say, I want a pre-foreclosure that's off market because it failed recently. And there's also a bankruptcy on that property. Now think about that. That's 3 situations that these 7 homeowners are in. Pre-foreclosure, you try to sell it and it failed, and you have no income coming in. So if we were to look at the graph, these 7 individuals are like way up here, right? Pre-foreclosure with the bankruptcy and a failed listing. Talk about like very motivated, if I'm able to get access to them, get through a phone call, they might be willing to just get a deal done within about 1 or 2 follow-ups, right? And that's what this filter allows me to do, is take 3 categories and put them together. And in this case, pre-foreclosure failed listing with the bankruptcy, or a lien, or a divorce, or any of the options here. And you can also specify what type of lien if you are looking for a lien. You can even suppress records. So maybe you are looking for a pre-foreclosure with the bankruptcy. It also failed on the market, but you don't want to lien on it. So there goes that one property. We had 7. Now that one property has been removed, right? Maybe you don't want a divorce because you don't want to chase after 2 signatures, or deal with spouses not agreeing to a price. So you can suppress records as well. You can specify when the lien was recorded, when the bankruptcy was recorded, when the divorce was filed, how much the lien is on the property or against the property, what year they didn't pay their taxes. And then after that category, you have the valuation and equity info. So here we can specify how much the property is worth. So, don't show me any properties worth more than $500,000. Don't show me properties that rent for more than $3,000. I can say I want a property that's growing 3% over the last month or 2 years. I want a property with at least $10,000 in equity, or a property with 40% in equity. Maybe I'm looking for a loan to value ratio. I want to see if there's a person out there that has a 50% loan value, or a loan to the value of the property. What that means is, like, if the property is worth $100,000 and the homeowner has $60,000 on that mortgage left, then that's a 60% loan to value of the property ratio, right? Because 60,000 of 100,000, 60%. So it's almost like looking for equity, but kind of in a reverse manner. And then assess total value. This is looking for the tax amount of that property. And after you're done with the valuation and equity info, the last area is mortgage info. So again, we collect mortgage information so we can look for pre-foreclosures that might have 2 mortgages on that property. And so think about these 2 individuals. They're going through a lot. You probably have a first. You probably pulled equity out on that property. Now you're in pre-foreclosure. You tried to sell it with an agent and that failed. It didn't work out. And you have a bankruptcy on your property. Like, that's 5 situations that you're going through. These individuals definitely need somebody's help, correct? So you have the ability to control the amount of mortgages that are on the property, how much left is on that mortgage, the ratio, the loan to value ratio, or the equity on that first loan, or a dollar amount of equity on that first loan. So either percentage or equity amount or dollar amount. You can include or exclude cash bought records. So maybe some of these properties were once bought in cash. Show me that property was once bought in cash. So none of them were. What if some of these properties are free and clear? Show me the property that is free and clear, and none of them are free and clear. Show me the property that has a private note on it, where the homeowner is actually selling the property privately, and none of them have it. So you have the ability to go from, in this sense, 1,400 results, apply your filter, and when you hit close, we're down to 6 properties. And so now what you really want to do is check off your results and add it to a marketing list. So Las Vegas, 4 pain points, leads. Okay, let's do that, 4 pain points. And now I've essentially completed phase 1, which is search, filter for whatever it is that you want. In this case, I added 4 criteria on top of each other. And then I checked off my results and I saved it. Now at this point, my results will now get shot over to the My Properties page. But before you head on over there, I'm sure you don't want to have to search this over and over again. So what I would recommend is to save that filter, or save your search. So go to save search and just name it, Las Vegas filter, or whatever you want to name it. You can even add details, right? Failed, pre-foreclosure, bankruptcy, 2 mortgages or 1 mortgages, whatever it may be. You can even choose to replace any of these boxes if you want. I don't normally like to do that, but I'll leave that up to you. And then we can email you. So if we are updating and we see something that matches this filter, we can email. We can say, hey, 7 new properties have meet your criteria. And so this email is available for you. So email me immediately if we see any new results. And so the reason why I want you to save that search is so you don't have to put this filter in there again. So if I were to log off and log back on, and I need to, a week has gone by and I want to see if there's any new results, I can go to Las Vegas and do all of that filtering again. Or instead of searching, I just go to all searches and anything I've saved is already here. So when I click on my Las Vegas, there they are. And my filter is back there for me. And again, not only will these filters repopulate, but if there were new ones, like 2 new ones, this would say 8 now. And the new ones are always the lowest numbers. So if there were 2 new ones, then number 1 and 2 would be pushed down to 3 and 4, and the new ones would be 1 and 2. Okay. So this feature is important because if you have like an Apple Watch, if you have like a phone, I mean, literally as you're at the gym, as you're grocery shopping, as you're doing whatever that you're doing, when we do an update and it meets you'll get an email notification. It'll say, hey, you got 7 new properties that meet this filter or that filter or the next filter or whatever filter it is that you saved. Okay. So take that opportunity to save it, to save yourself some time in the future. But once you do save your results, it's now in the My Properties page. And from here, all we need to do is find that marketing list, click on it, check off the addresses we want or all of them at once. And now we can hit the export button and we're done. Phase 1, I'm just here for your data. I don't need anything else. I will see you later once I have that Excel sheet. Or I need their contact information because it's hot in Las Vegas. I don't want to go door knocking. I want to just call somebody from the comfort of my home and the air conditioner that's blasting. So what I want you to do is I want to skip trace these addresses. So I'm going to go to skip tracing and I'm going to select my group. And here at the top, I'm going to choose my marketing lists. So I'm going to look for my Las Vegas lists. Here they are. All 6 of them. They're all checked off. That's a good thing. We're going to hit add selected contacts. They're now all highlighted. We're going to hit done. 6 contacts have been selected. Here's the pricing. So it's going to be in this pricing area right here, 1 to 500. So if I just want phone numbers, 22 cents a piece. Emails, 22 cents a piece, or both 24 cents. Now, it's 24 cents, 22 cents if we get results. So if we skip trace this list and only 5 of them come back, then it's 24 cents times the 5 that came back. So we will not charge you for the ones that get no results. So choose your list, choose your items, hit next, tells you what your cost is, place that order, accept your agreement, and then you're going to name that list once more because it's a whole new list now, right? So Las Vegas, 4 pain points with contact info. And then I'll hit done. And this list is not in my properties. It's actually in my contacts under skip tracing. So I'm just going to scroll down and here's my Las Vegas pain points and it's currently processing. Again, in about 5-10 minutes, it's going to look just like this. It's going to say complete. And then the phone numbers and emails will be in there. And again, we only charge you for the ones that come through. So I skip traced 50 addresses. The summary tells me only 42 were skip traced. So that's what we're going to charge you only. So for like Yofree here, who didn't give me anything, we're not going to bill you for her. Okay. So skip tracing, once the results populate, and again, it takes about 5-10 minutes. So in some cases, you might just need to just refresh your page after 5 minutes and the results will populate. Okay. Not yet. But once the results populate, we can check them all off and then hit the export button. And now we have our motivated sellers or buyers plus their contact information. Or finally, I can take this Las Vegas list that I'm about to skip trace, and it's currently getting their phone numbers, and go to the campaign and start a new campaign. So I'm going to call this my Las Vegas campaign. And then I'm going to go into my targeted list. But be careful, because remember, we created 2 lists. One was the original marketing list, the Las Vegas with the 4 pain points, right? So this is just the addresses and the owner's name. If I keep going further below, I get the skip tracing results. So this is the list I actually want to use because this is the list not only with the names and addresses, but with the phone numbers and emails. So I'm going to find my Las Vegas pain points here. And then I can edit. So maybe I can remove someone, add. Oh, look, the numbers are in. Ooh, that's quick. Less than 5 minutes in some cases. So phone numbers are finally in. Actually, I want to double check that. I don't believe it. Let me double check it. It's processing. Let me see here. That's how quick I was able to get phone numbers. I think it's completed. I just need to refresh it. Yeah, it's completed. There we go, guys. All but one. So Donato, I wasn't able to get his phone number. And so did I, yep, see 5 out of 6. So I'm only getting charged the 5 times 24 cents. And so check that out. I got Jericho's emails, DJ Anigan, which yeah, matches the name, right? Gilbert Greg, yep, matches the name. See Michael Rogers, yep, matches the name. This is how aggressive our skip tracing is. So not only did I know that these guys are in like 3 different scenarios that really need my help, but like right now in front of everybody, I can just pick up my phone and start calling. Hey, Jericho, what's going on? This is Burton. I'm a local investor. I just so happen to go down to the county's office and I see that you might be in a situation. Is there anything I can do to help you? And hopefully we can go from there, right? So not only did I get their contact information, but maybe I don't want to cold call them. Maybe I'm too nervous. So I want to go into the campaign again, start a new campaign, Las Vegas campaign, 4 pain points, and then choose my skip tracing job list. And then from there, I'll start a new campaign. And you have successfully created a campaign. Here's what we want you to do. Go ahead and set up a website for those 6 people. So again, maybe I don't want to call them. Maybe I don't want to leave them my phone number. Maybe I don't want to do any of that. So rather, what I'm going to do is I'm going to create this website that they can go to. And this website is free. It's part of your subscription. So we do give you your domain name, but the back part you can change. So like, for example, Tony closes or Tony cashes or buys houses in cash, right? In cash. And it says, hey, you know what? That's not available. How about Tony buys houses in cash in 30 days? And it says, okay, that's available. Boom, we'll use that. So that's your web address. Where would you like these notifications to be sent to? So if any of these 6 individuals do fill out the format, where would you like us to email it to? So we can email it to your username or your business partner's name. We can then save your design. So in just a few moments, you'll be creating your own website. And if you check this off, we will save it for you so you can use it again in the future. Below that, you can start with an entirely blank website and upload your own background and pictures and change the message, or you can use one of our templates. And so here in our templates, we can go ahead and get a background, upload a logo, an image, a header text, which is right over here, like, hey, I can cash you out, or don't let the banks take back your house. Stuff like that, just to get them to fill out that application. Once I'm done with my website, I can preview it and see what it's going to look like. Make sure everything looks good. But if I like it, I'm going to go ahead and hit publish. And now this is a live website. So if I click on it, it's an actual website. Right, so that's the first thing we want you to do. It's not mandatory. It's an option. I really recommend it. It's just another way to, because sometimes these homeowners are too embarrassed to talk to someone, right? So maybe they just want to go to a website and fill out the information and wait for you to give them a call. And they want to make sure you're the real deal, right? So this is a very great thing to use if you want to. So after you're done creating the website, which is going to be for these 6 individuals, now you get to choose whether you want to send postcards. So I want to send the standard postcards or the oversized postcards. I want to send the ones that you have, Propstream. So let me choose any of the ones you have, like the I buy houses or houses wanted, urgent notice. Once I choose that, I just hit select. It's going to populate that postcard for me, the front and back side. As for the names and addresses, go ahead and ignore that. That William Smith is just a placeholder. For example, you see this 123 Wilshire Boulevard here. Watch what happens when I hit print and mail. That Wilshire Boulevard will actually change to one of the addresses that are on my list. You see how it says Mosaic Sunrise Lane? So when I'm placing the order, it actually puts the actual addresses and the homeowner's name on their card. So even though I'm using the same card for all 6 people, they're not really the same, because every card will have their own address on it, and every card will have the homeowner's name on it. So it addresses them directly and the property in question directly. And so for $2.88, I can place my order and Propstream will send out these cards to those mailing addresses that you put on your list. And that is our postcard for you. Or we can do ringless voicemails. So step one, missed call notification, because it's a ringless voicemail. They're going to get a missed call. And what number do you want to show up? It could be a fake number. It could be a real number. We don't give you a number, so you actually have to put your own number in here. To do that, just hit add, and you can put in your number like, this is our corporate number, our Propstream's phone number. So if I put that, when I make the ringless voicemail, this is what's going to show up on the missed call notification. So if they don't listen to my voicemail, they just call me back right away. It goes to this number, right? That's what they're going to see. Step two is recording. So what message do you want them to hear? If you don't have one yet, add one. And you're going to name that recording, right? So Las Vegas recording. You can update or upload your own WAV format. So you have to have a WAV file in order to upload it. If not, you can hit create new recording. This is preferred for me. When you hit create new recording, it will give you an 800 number. You can call that number with your cell phone, give them the PIN number, and they'll do the recording over the phone for you, right? So you just get in a quiet area with your phone. Hi, this is Burton. Again, I'm a local investor. Just so happens driving by your house. We're interested in making you an offer. Could you please call back? And so upload your own recording, or again, call the 800 number and do the recording by phone. And then you're going to save it. And then once you save it, it's in the drop-down menu. So when you're first here, it does take a while to set up. So as you see, I'm setting up some numbers and voicemails. First time it takes a minute or two, but once you're done with it, like let's say I started a new campaign. Okay, I want a voicemail. I already have a caller ID already there. I already have a message already there. I already have a schedule already there. And I want you to call 3 numbers every minute. Okay, or I want you to call 30 numbers every minute. So this is the voicemail, the ringless voicemail system. If the voicemail gets delivered, it's 10 cents. If the voicemail does not get delivered, we don't charge you at all. So if all 6 of these individuals do get my voicemail, 60 cents, and we could have done that all in 1 minute. So I could have called each person, and it would have been 2 minutes each, because I'm going to get 5 rings and then a voicemail and then leave a voicemail, right? So that would have taken 18 minutes, 20 minutes for 6 manual calls and then manual voicemails, or it does it for me in 1 minute. 6 calls in 1 minute, and then they leave the voicemail if they don't answer. All I need to do is set that up, hit save and activate, and then my voicemail is now being delivered based on my schedule, okay? And the last and possible marketing is email marketing. Just like postcards, you're gonna name that email, and this is for you and you only. I like to put numbers so I know, I'm on email number 1, I gotta do email number 2 next week, email number 3 the next week. But the subject line is important, right? Don't let the banks take your home, right? Have something that's going to get their attention, to get them to click on your email, because when they click on your email and they read it, there's going to be a learn more button or a logo or a picture they can click on. And if they do that, it's going to take them to that website you created at the very beginning of this campaign. Or maybe you have your own website you want to take them to, like your own business website, your own Facebook page, whatever it may be. Or again, by default, our page. Then you can choose to send it out immediately or uncheck it and send it out at a later date. You can store the design you're about to create by checking this off for future use. And then you can start with a blank email template or use one of our predefined ones. And again, it looks just like the postcard website setup. So more like the website setup: banner image, top logo, bottom logo, the attention grabber, and then what reinforces that. And then you get to choose the 5 different layouts that you'd like. And then from here, you can hit preview and email it to yourself, or if you're good with it, you can hit publish, and then based on your schedule, we'll send it out immediately or at that later date that you assigned it to. And that is all lead generation, right? We searched like I did in front of you. I saved it. I skip traced it. I literally got phone numbers in about 5 minutes for you guys. And then we started a Las Vegas campaign where I could choose to send postcards, voicemails, and emails. So let's say I did all 3, right? A week, 2 weeks go by, I got a phone call or I got a notification. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to either go to the search page and type in that Las Vegas address. So I can type in a specific address, and instead of results on the right-hand side, it shows me just that address as information, plus the neighbors, plus the listings around the property, plus the pre-foreclosure. So it's kind of breaking down this area. It's saying, hey, this is a very distressed area. This is a very good area. There's a lot of sales in this area. The neighbors are good, right? So you can either search for that address in the search bar, or since you marketed to it, it's sitting in your My Properties. So I can go to My Properties, find that list, and click on any of these 6 addresses that I ran that search for or promoted it to. So now Elizabeth calls me, right? She got my postcard. Hey, Burton, this is Elizabeth. I got your card. I'm leaving you a voicemail. I'm actually interested in offering my house, but I'm very limited on time. Can you call me back? Sure thing. So before I call Elizabeth back, I'm going to pull up her address and I'm going to look at the details because I need to find an opportunity or some sort of leverage. So when you go into the property details, this is what we're staring at. Every property looks just like this, except there are going to be different tabs depending on the situation. So first thing we're going to see is the address and photos. Now, because this property was on the MLS, there are MLS photos. Remember, it failed, right? So this is a property that failed back in 2017, but we can see what it looked like back at that time. Okay. So it looks pretty good. It looks like we don't need to do too much rehabbing. And it makes sense because the property was only built 7 years ago, right? So it's not bad. Good backyard, no grass. That's all. I mean, it's Vegas. I don't think anything will grow anyways. It looks like it's in a community with a park. That's not bad. All right, so we know the MLS photos. We have the property characteristics. And again, some of the opportunities I'm seeing already is it's only 7 years old. Now, I'm not a Vegas resident, so I don't know if 7 years is like 14 years because it's so hot out there that time just speeds up, or properties just break down faster. I don't know. But these are things that you definitely want to look at. Property type, again, is it on market or off market? This should be off market because remember, when I was filtering for these results, I said I wanted off market but failed. So it was on market at one point, it failed, and now it's still off market. It's in pre-foreclosure, right? There's that pre-foreclosure details. Did it go through short sale? Nope. Is there an HOA on it? Yes. Is it owned by an individual? Yes. Is it owner occupied? Yes. Is it occupied? Yes. So they're answering the mail. Again, this is a list I wanted to knock on doors for. 7 years of ownership. Okay, maybe they're going to consider selling, or maybe they want to downgrade. Maybe they had teenagers and now 7 years have gone by and those teenagers have moved out and they're in a 3-bedroom property. They don't need those extra 2 bedrooms, right? So there's a lot of things that we can think about. How it was purchased, what county it's in, the estimated value this year versus what it was last year. This estimated value is calculated by a very, very strong algorithm that uses MLS and public records. But, and I can say this because as much as I love these variables and they can be very on point, you can't go running around telling everybody what you believe it's worth, even if our system is 100% accurate. Imagine you're my cash buyer and I say, hey, Mr. or Mrs. Buyer, I have this really great property. You just need to wire me $250,000. By the way, it could sell for $400,000. And that's all I tell you. Like, I don't give you any reports. I don't give you anything, but just say, yeah, I could sell $400,000. And you go, well, how do you know that? I have this program that tells me what it's worth. Like, you're not going to believe me at all. You're going to be like, yeah, sorry, I'll see you later. You're never going to wire that money at all, right? So even though this is a great number to look at and know where it's valued, you don't want to run around saying that, hey, the estimated value is this. What you really want to do is run comps, which is what we're going to be discussing in just a few seconds. So estimated value this year and last year, how the value has grown over 5 years, the comparables. So we actually run comps for you. But again, you don't want to go by that because maybe we're not including a certain variable that you need. So these 55 are comps that we ran for you. And so you definitely want to look further into that. Here it's telling me how many mortgages. So Elizabeth here has 2 mortgages, the first and the second, and collectively it's 272. And she has 3 liens. Oh my goodness. Here are the liens. She has a unpaid hazardous waste lien, HOA lien, HOA lien. So yeah, they're not letting her go on this one. So she owes a mortgage and she owes liens on the property. And then there is some equity on the property, at least what we calculate. So as I'm running across the board, I'm seeing some great things like, okay, she doesn't owe that much, right? And the lien is not too expensive. So let's put these together. She owes about 275, 280 if we round up, right? Comps are good, but I don't want to go by those comps, right? And again, all of this information is down here, like from the property details, characteristics, building size, legal description, if you're writing out contracts, HOA information, mortgage information. The pre-foreclosure details, which I already know about because that's what I filtered for. Show me a pre-foreclosures. But if I wanted to know what type of pre-foreclosure and what's happening, here's the pre-foreclosure documents I can order and all that information. Again, the lien details, the bankruptcy details that she's going through, chapter 13, the MLS details from 2007 when she tried to sell it and it failed, and what she tried to sell it for. So maybe it was a little too high even for 2017 numbers, but maybe it's perfect now because the market has increased. But we get to see the agent that listed it and all that information. But last but not least is this. This is the most important part of running details on a property is, look, I need to come up with the value. Elizabeth here owes about 280. I need to know what this property could sell for, because if 280 is too high, then it's not worth my time, right? So I'm going to run into comparables, click on comparables, and here you get to choose what data you want to use to run comps, right? So what is comps? Comps is just comparing one property to the next property. If a property is identical to the next property, like the neighboring property, if two properties are identical, completely identical, built the same year, same square footage, top to bottom, completely identical, and this morning one of them sold for $500,000, what do you think the other one can sell for? $500,000, right? So that's what comps are, is, look, I have a property here that's a 3-bedroom, 2-bathroom with these characteristics. So I need to go into the public records in the last year, the last 2 months, the last 6 months, your call there, and look for something that's sold with the same similarities. 3-bedroom minimum, 2-bathroom minimum, right? Square footage or year built, 2012. So let's look for 2010. Let's put a range in there, 2010 to 2015. Square footage, 2,262. It already puts a range in here of 400 minus, 400 plus. We'll keep it that way. Now with public records, got to be careful, because the thing about public records, this is something I had to learn really early, is that properties sell privately. They don't just sell through an agent. So when it comes to public records, you can see those private sales, like show me what buyers are buying for. So here's what a buyer is willing to pay in this market, $335 for properties in this area, right? Or show me what banks are willing to finance properties for, right? What is a bank confident in buying and or putting a note on? And so finance shows us real values, or we can see what construction sales are, if there's been any transfers, or if there's been a foreclosure or an REO sale. So make sure you know the type of off-market situation you're looking for. In this case, if you're trying to get what properties would sell in after repair value, we probably don't want cash bought properties, because cash buyers usually like to buy properties at a discount. So we want properties that have been financed, meaning they were listed and someone bought it and the bank put a note on it, right? And then we could include or exclude properties that have been bought multiple parcel sales. There are some buyers that will buy up the whole block. And what that does is it ruins the amount. Like it'll say, oh, a property sold for $3 million. And you're like, what? How can a 3-bedroom property sold for $3 million? And then you look at the records and you realize, oh, this company bought 15 properties in the neighborhood. The county just was lazy to tell us what each property sold for. So they just put $3 million on every single property's transaction. So by excluding that, you remove those situations where there's millions, like it shows the sell amount being $1 million, because that can ruin your numbers, right? Let's see if there's any in here. Nope, not yet. Okay, that's good. Increase or decrease your distance, and then choosing the type of property. So we have a residential single family. We're comparing it to other residential single families. And so now after filtering, it says, okay, Burton, we're down to 11 results now. And all of them selected are 396 average, right? So we took all these sell amounts, right, from 479 to as low as like 310, and we average it out. It's about 316 or 396. But when you're running comps, it's not that simple, guys. You definitely have to look for anomalies. Like some of them are 4 bedrooms. Some of them have big square lot sizes or smaller lot sizes, right? Like this 3,000 one. So what I'm probably going to do is 2 things. I'm going to probably lower the distance. The closer we are to the property, the more similar the properties get. Like you can see now all the 4 bedrooms are completely gone. And so now it lets me see, okay, my property is a 3.2. Here are 3, oh, here's a 2.5. I don't need that one. And then mine is a 2262. This one's a perfect match, 2262. But this one has lower square footage than mine, or lot size. So maybe that's the reason why it sold for 390. Maybe if the lot size was 3,000 more like mine, we could push for a higher number. And here's a property that shows that, right? Here's one that's 260. So it does have 400 more building square footage, but the lot size is still small. And remember, when we're looking at a big lot size, what does that mean? We can always add to the property square footage. But what I'm doing is I'm trying to find the in between. So here's one that's very close, has 7,000 lot size with a 2,600 square footage. So clearly we can always add 400 square footage to our property by adding a bedroom or, some sort of attachment to it. So I'm confident that these four are my best results, or maybe all of them, or maybe four is not enough. And because I'm just using public records, maybe I also want to use agent records. So when I click on the MLS, it takes all the same characteristics. It says, okay, well, here are the MLS listings that we have. And it's showing me the MLS pricing, how many days on market it lasted. So here's a 449 and it sold in 7 days. Why? Let's look at that photo and see how it sold for 7 days. And it looks like it was in top-notch shape. So this is what it takes to sell a property in this market for 449 in 7 days. What about this one for 480? What made that sell? Oh, there's a pool, right? That's probably why it sold. See, so it's things like this that you want to use, or you can use both. You can say, you know what, both of them just alone is not enough. Let's use them both together. And so now we can see all those results collectively, their characteristics collectively. And again, you want to make sure you're going through the photos, because some of them may have sold in horrible condition. Some of them may have sold in condition. So what we're trying to do is find these, the ones that have been fully rehabbed. Those are the after repair valued properties, right? So it's been fully rehabbed. I'm confident all of these are my options. So now my comps are about 450 in a growing market. See, the estimated value says 339, 398. This algorithm doesn't see the photos. It doesn't recognize photos. It only recognizes numbers. And that's why clicking on photos and seeing if these are good rehab comps are important, because now you can get a better price point on that, okay? And finally, once we're done with all of that, you're gonna hit actions followed by view comps report. And what we're gonna do is we're gonna take your public records and your MLS photo or MLS records that you've selected and filtered for, and put it on a PDF file for you that you can print out. And you definitely probably want to take this to your negotiation. So when you're talking to homeowners, when you're talking to your investors, this is the report that you're going to want to use, because some of your homeowners are going to say, I want full price, even though the house is like literally falling apart or there's like mold growing on the roof itself. So pulling the reports is going to be important, because you're going to need to use that as your leverage. Sorry, Mr. or Mrs. Homeowner, I'd love to give you full price, but you see that mold right there? Well, that's the reason why I can't give you full price. And if you don't believe me, look at this house that sold for $450,000 just down the street from your house. This is what it takes for you to get that full price. So here's the comps report. Shows them the property, the characteristics, the estimated values in the neighborhood, their listing history. It shows your buyers and your sellers the report, the comps, your filters. You can say, look, I tightened it out. I made sure I looked for properties that were only like 2 to 5 years old from what your property is, right? Within a 2-3 year range. Same bedrooms, same bathrooms, square footage was very tight. In this area, properties are selling as low as 390, as high as 515, but the average is around 450 plus or minus. Now, what controls that? The rehab. If I'm wholesaling, I don't control this value. When I sell my property to the investor, what they do with the rehab will dictate whether they can sell for 515, 450, or if they don't do anything, like they don't really take good care of the rehab, or they just put all that cheap stuff inside, then they can get it as 390. But it's my goal, if I'm a wholesaler, to present this offer to my investor. Mr. Investor, here's a property I have on contract for you. It's $200,000. Just got to do a little bit of rehab in it. But if you do that rehab, it can sell from anywhere from 390 to as much as 515. It depends on what you're going to do with it. And if you want more information, here are the comps. and the sources I pulled for you, Mr. and Mrs. Buyer, Mr. and Mrs. Seller. And here are the images of those comps. So this is the sell amount for that 390 and the characteristics. Here's a sell amount for that 479 and the characteristics. And as I continue going down, we also show them the photos. So now if I'm, if my investor is looking at this, he's gonna be like, oh, okay, so you got it for 200,000, and this property right here, number 5 and 6, that one sold for 449. So you got it for 200, and I just have to make it look like that, and we can sell it for around 450. That rehab is probably going to be $30,000. So 200,000 I have to give to you, plus 30,000 on top to get it to look like this, and then I can sell it for at least 400,000. What's the math there? You just made yourself $170,000 if it sells at 400,000. But if it sells for more than 400,000, let's say it does sell for 450, yeah, you just made yourself $220,000 in profit margin before, closing costs and all that good stuff. So this is why it's important to have this report, because now you're using it to let your buyers know, yeah, sorry, I'm not giving you full price. You don't have the same kitchen like this property does. Or your investors, hey, yeah, really great area. Things are selling fast. You just got to get them to look like this for you to sell it at this price point. And so we take this report and we go and hopefully close the deal. Now, while you're doing the deal, so while you're visiting that homeowner and you're giving them an offer, I hope you're inspecting the property, right? You got to make sure you know what rehab needs to be done, right? So bring your checklist with you. And to make your life easier, we included a rehab calculator for you in the property details. So as I'm walking Elizabeth's property, let's say I notice that she needs to do the kitchens and cabinets, and then she also has like a very destroyed bathroom, right? One of her bathrooms is just completely destroyed. It needs to be rehabbed. So I wrote that down: kitchen cabinets, and then complete bathroom rehab. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go to the rehab calculator. So let's say I'm in California. I don't know any contractors in that area, and I don't want to even try to do my research right now. So what Propstream has done is we've worked with a company called Blue Hammer, and what it allows us to do is allows us to get local level costs on that rehab. So I can go to Blue Hammer and we give them the address that you're looking for or you're looking at, and I can start a project. I can say, okay, rehab project, and then let's go. And then from here, I can do one of two things. I can be like a real contractor and start adding the individual items I need. Like I need to go in the bathroom, I need accessories, or I need a toilet. I need to remove the one that's in there. It's still good, so I just need to remove it and reset it. Or yeah, that bathroom didn't even have a toilet, so I got to install one. And I need to install a new wax ring, but a good designer one, right? It has to be a toilet plus a new wax ring. And that toilet has to be a designer brand because this is a great neighborhood, right? So you can really dive in onto like the actual line items you want for this project. Or if you're like me, you probably have no idea what you need in terms of line items. So me and most of the investors are using the popular projects. So Blue Hammer has essentially done the research for us and said, hey, these are the popular projects that most investors are doing once they buy a project. A bathroom. So when I click on that, here are the projects that they're doing. A complete remodel. That's exactly what I need. And it tells me, okay, what type of complete remodel is it? Was it a shower only in there? Was it a tub and shower combination? Or was there a tub and shower, but they were separate? Well, this was just a shower only. Okay, well, in this area, does it call for cheap products, middle, or designer stuff? I want designer stuff. I want that top dollar if I can get it. Okay, so now that we know, what you need and the type of materials you need, where are we making these repairs? We're making them in the bathroom. And so in 3, 2, 1, Blue Hammer says, Burton, we've done the research for you, $24,000 to complete a complete bathroom rehab project using designer material. Now, if you go to Lowe's and Home Depot and you buy it all yourself and you install it all yourself, you're going to be spending about $14,000 in do-it-yourself costs. Now, you still don't believe us? Let's look at project details. Here are all the line items typically found on a complete bathroom remodel. And so you get to not only go through these line items and double check, but you can even manually edit it. So maybe there wasn't a medicine cabinet in there. So, or maybe there wasn't a toilet. So we can say, no, we don't need to remove the toilet and we don't need to remove the medicine cabinet. And it adjusts our price. It lowers the price. So not only am I using Propstream to find motivated sellers, get their contact information, market to them so they can call me back and hopefully talk to me about selling their house. But when they do call me or email me that they're interested, I'm going to use Propstream to look at the details to make the best informed decision possible and look for any potential opportunities I can use as potential leverage when negotiating. But then I'm also going to pull out the comps from Propstream because you can't negotiate if you don't know where to begin, right? So I'm going to pull the comps so I know what the top dollar is, and then we're going to show the owner why we can't give them that top dollar because of the condition of that property. I'm also going to use that report to show my investors after we lock the property down, right? But before showing my investors that report, I'm also going to show my investors the rehab report. I'm going to say, hey, Mr. Investors, I have this contract for you. It's $200,000. Needs to do the bathroom. It's 24,000 retail, right? And so now my investors are doing the math. Okay, so we got to buy it from you for 200. Then we got to put about 24. Yeah, my contractor can beat that price. He's been working with me for 5 years or 10 years or 15 years. We can probably do it for 2,000 or 20,000 even, right? So not only have I shown my investor the comps neighborhood, but I've been shown them that, hey, it only is going to take you $20,000, 24,000 to get it in the right condition to sell it for 450 or around that price point. And so this is our rehab calculator. It's very, very powerful because it does the job for you in terms of telling you what the average retail cost is for a certain project. And so at this point, I would go to the summary, project report, and then I would print my estimate. Okay, so now my investor has the comps and the rehab report. And hopefully that right there is enough to get the ball rolling and have ourselves dancing over to the title company. Okay, so that is Propstream lead generation, Propstream property analyzing, running comps, rehab calculator. The last two things I'm going to leave you guys off with is in the settings, again, the team member accounts. So you might be hiring a VA soon to do all your calling and to do all your list pooling. You don't have to go off and buy them their own account unless you want to. I won't stop you. If you want them to have access to your account but not give them your username and password, that's fine. We get it. For $20 extra a month on top of your subscription, you can add your virtual assistant or your business partner. Now, when you do that, you will be able to limit how much they can download every month from the 10,000 that you have, or depending on what your plan is, and how much they can spend every month on the card that's on file. So I will leave you off with this. Please make sure you're vetting your team members, otherwise, or at least setting limits. Otherwise, you may have a team member that may go AWOL on you and pull all the leads or spend more than they should on your credit card. Okay. So that's the team member account, and the account activity shows you all the orders that you've placed, like our skip tracing that we did today. And then add-on service, which talks about List Automator. And so List Automator, there's some videos here for you to learn more about it. We have some videos in our help section under our video library on List Automator. But just a quick bullet point on List Automator, it's an enhancement to your My Properties page. The first thing it does is it gives you these 10 boxes at the top. So anytime I create a list, like a Las Vegas pain point list, like we created earlier, it says, hey, Burton, in those 6 addresses or in those 6 properties in that list, 2 of them have high equity, 4 of them have low equity. Clearly, 6 of them are in pre-foreclosure and 6 of them are bankruptcy, which is what you asked for. Now, what it does is it isolates certain categories in any of the marketing lists that you save. So rather than saying, you know what, I have 486 properties in this list, and I didn't know 92 of them are free and clear. Now, what I could have done is if I needed free and clear, I would have had to run this search all over again, right? Go back to the search page, type in the same filters, except just added that one more filter, which is free and clear. No longer have to do that anymore. Now I just click on a list, which already has its filter, but now I can isolate one more filter on top of that. So show me all the liens that are in bankruptcy, not in pre-foreclosure, right? That's the original filter, but also show me the ones that are free and clear. And it says, okay, well, in your 486 of them, 92 of them in there are free and clear with the same filters. See, so I just created a list within a list without having to do another search. So not only do these 10 boxes isolate these very categories, but they can also be refined. So not liens, bankruptcy, non-pre-foreclosure, free and clear, there's 92 of them. But I also want the ones that are owned by an individual for more than 10 years. And I can hit apply and it says, okay, well, there's 55 of them, right? So I didn't even delete the original list. I didn't run another search. I said, okay, I love the actual core filters, right? Liens, bankruptcy, non-pre-foreclosure. I love that filter, but I just need a little bit more. I need free and clear with 10 years of ownership by an individual. What can you do for me? And it says, okay, we're going to go through your list. All right, in those 486, there are 55 of them with those exact criteria. Lien, bankruptcy, not in pre-foreclosure, 10 years of ownership, and free and clear. What do you want to do now? Well, let's check them all off and we'll create a new marketing list. So we'll call this the lien, bank, non-pre-foreclosure, high equity, 10-year individual. And when I hit save, it's literally going to be right next to the original 400 list, right? It went from 486 to, oh, hey, here's a category I didn't even realize, and let's refine it a little bit. Let's go ahead and edit that. And then it says, okay, there's 55 after you've edited it, and we checked off the 55, and now we created a new list with those 55. So there you go. So this is the first big avenue with List Automator. It lets you create a list within a list. The other thing it lets you do is automate a list. So when you save a list with Propstream, we know your filters, obviously. So with that said, we can automatically add properties to your list every time we do an update and it matches your exact criteria. So if you tell us, hey, go ahead and just keep adding properties that match this criteria automatically, we will do that. Or maybe you don't want to confuse yourself, so you want to add it to another list. Tell me about these new properties that meet this criteria, but don't put it in this list, put it in this other list that I'm going to follow up with next week. Or just notify me. Tell me how many need to be added, but let me do the adding and let me do the deleting and all that good stuff, right? So that's automating a list. Is what happens when Propstream's updating and something meets your criteria? What would you like us to do? The second part is what happens when something is in your list. So these 486 properties right now, what happens when they don't meet your criteria anymore? Do you want us to remove it automatically? Maybe put it in a different list for you? Or do you want us to just tell you how many you need to remove, then you do it yourself? And so when I automate this list, it's now going to take care of it for me every single day. And why is this important? 486 postcards would have been sent today, right? Let's say I sent 486 postcards last week. All 486 had this criteria. Now that I've automated it and Propstream updated it, Propstream's saying, hey, 28 of them no longer have this criteria. What do you want to do with those 28? Well, I want you to remove them. I want you to delete those 28 because I'm not trying to send 486 postcards if 28 of them are no longer in that criteria. So before I resend this postcard marketing, before I do the second wave or third wave of postcards, delete these 28 first, and the remaining 458 that are left are going to be the ones that I'm going to send postcards to. So if postcards were 50 cents a piece, and I removed 28 properties that didn't need postcards and they were 50 cents a piece, I just saved myself 14 bucks because I removed 28 properties that didn't need a postcard, didn't need a voicemail, didn't need me to call them, didn't need anything because they no longer meet my criteria. So now we're down to 458 because 28 of them were no longer matching my records. But wait, as of this morning, we found 16 properties that were updated in Propstream and they meet your criteria. So what do you want to do with those 16? Do you want to add it to the same list, or do you want to add it to another list of your choosing? And so that is List Automator Automate feature. It's to help you monitor every single list that's being saved and remove things that no longer meet your criteria and save money that way. And then the last possible thing you can do with List Automator is import a list. So you might have a list that's 10 years old. You might have a list from a different provider, and that provider doesn't have vacant listings, or that provider doesn't have mortgage information. So what if I told you that you can take an outside list and bring it on over using our import feature, like this probate list or this driving for dollars list, and then we'll give you all of our data. So when you take your driving for dollars list and you bring it on over, this is what it looks like. Here's a driving for dollars list. 257 addresses were uploaded, right? So my driving for dollars list, 257 were uploaded and matched. 3 didn't match, that's fine. So here are all 257 driving for dollars. Now remember, when I uploaded this, it was just on a piece of paper or on an Excel sheet. And when I uploaded it, I got all the records now. And it's telling me how many of these 257 are on market, just sold, vacant, high equity, and so forth. And so not only, again, did I bring in a list from a different provider or a list that's 5 years old, but Propstream just updated it and gave me all of this information. Said, hey, this property, now we know the owner, we know that it was bought in cash, we know that it's currently active on the market, you can run comps on it now, and all of that good stuff. So that is List Automator. It's not designed for everybody, but I believe with automating a list and removing records that don't match, that's saving you money. So I mean, it is an add-on, but if you're doing it effectively, you're going to be saving a lot of money on the marketing part. So guys, my name is Burton. Thank you so much for sticking through with this. I hope what I showed you today gets you a clearer understanding of what Propstream is essentially designed to do. Build a list, get their information, contact them directly through marketing or send direct marketing. And then when the leads call in, this is also the same platform you're going to use to analyze those properties. So it's like a 2-part process, right? We're not just selling you a list and then we'll see you later. We're selling you a list and then using the same system to evaluate that property and again, make the best informed decision. And then from there, you have these other tools like List Automator to help you clean up your lists. That way you're not sending marketing to properties that don't need it. You can import lists into our system. So if you have something that is 2 years old and you want it updated, maybe there's something in there that still meets your criteria, you can do that. And then in a few weeks, look out for our mobile app that will be dropping. So guys, thank you so much. My name is Burton. I hope everything I showed you was good, and I'm going to be here for some questions. So Tony, I'll bring that back to you so you can choose the questions, man.
All right, cool. So I appreciate everybody holding their questions to the end. I mean, as always, we know like it's a lot inside the system. So I want you guys to use the raise your hand feature. Anybody that has a question, you can use the raise your hand feature real quick, and we'll go through and answer some questions that you may have. Anybody, I see a couple people saying that they came in late. There will be, this is recorded, so you will be able to go inside the actual training and review anything that you may have missed. Okay, yes?
Hi. Is there a list to, a limit to how many rehab reports you can get and how many, the rehab report and the, just the report on the actual house?
Yeah, so you can, so if you're talking about just like the details of the property, you can actually just print the report of the property. But if you want to run a rehab on that property, you need to save that property. And for the standard package of $97 a month, you get 10,000 properties you can save every month. So in reality, you have 10,000 rehabs that you can perform every 30 or every month. So that's the answer to that. It's for $97 a month. You get 10,000 properties that you can download. run a rehab report, and print those reports out.
Okay. Thank you very much. It was
No
great.
problem, Kay. Oh, you're welcome. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Tony.
All right. Thank you. Jasmine?
Hi, can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay. Now within the list, when the option to add for it to automatically add new properties that meet the criteria you're looking for, is there any way to look at the new properties only, so you're not exporting a whole, like the whole list again, like to only isolate those properties to export them?
Yes, correct, Jasmine. So what I would recommend is that when you're using the list automator feature, when you click on a list and automate it, I would probably encourage you for the new properties being added to either do one of two options: either add it to another list of your choosing. So like anytime I get an update, just put it in this, like the second list, right? And when it hits 50, then I'll mark it to it. Or I'll do it myself is the preferred one. Because when you do it yourself, anytime there's an update, like my Baltimore Tire Landlords Lead or my Arizona, it tells me that there are 3 properties that have been added. And from there, you get to decide whether you want to check them off, and you can add them to the same list, or you can click on actions, add them to a different marketing list. You can do practically anything you want. So we do isolate those new records for you. And then that's the I'll do it myself option, where you get to click on that box. It only shows you the ones that meet the new criteria or your criteria. And then as you know, what you want to do with it from there, we'll leave that up to you.
Okay, all right, thank you so much.
Yeah, no problem, Jasmine.
Lindsay?
That was quick. I just tried to figure out how to raise my hand. Hey everyone. Hi Tony. Hi Burton.
Hey.
Great information. Thank you so much. So I guess kind of like, I'm just thinking that Propstream provides so much information, right? I'm not trying to get lost in all of the data. So as I'm doing some of my like introductory searches, I'm kind of like, okay, if I take out, you know, that it has an active lien, I may get more or less, you know, results or so on and so forth. So how do I not get caught up in, like as you did your searches, right? The list gets slimmer and slimmer and slimmer. So do I not worry about like, dang, so now my list is down to 6, you know, which pros and cons, right? So is it just like, you know, just multiple lists, you're always running lists. I can see that's probably the beauty of it. And as I'm watching more of Tony's videos and just like listening to people who have been in this program before, I'm brand new, by the way, I get that it's like, it's just kind of, you're playing the list, I guess, to see what you get, but kind of how do I organize that in a way that it's not overwhelming and like,
Sure.
you know,
So again, you always want to look at it as a funnel where you start with like a large universe of galaxies, right? And you're trying to like choose the perfect galaxies for you. And so it just goes from big to, oh, okay, now we're down to the Milky Way, now we're down to our solar system, and now we're down to Earth where we love, right? So think of it that way, is you start with a big pool and you go from down. Now, the reason why we as a company give you 10,000 leads is, and you can ask Tony this and any successful investor out there, you're dealing with a numbers game, right? Again, there's no perfect list. So at the end of the day, that's why we give you 10,000 leads. Now, sometimes people can get 10,000 leads and they get 5,000 contracts. Sometimes they get 10,000 leads and they only get 2 contracts. But that's why we give you so many. Now, the reason why what you're referring to is like, do I look for a small list? Do I look for, a few dozen? Do I look for a few hundred? The answer is there really isn't a good answer for you. So let's kind of peel the onion, okay? So I assume most of us here are wholesaling, or that's the strategy that we're taking. So what is it as wholesalers we need in order to wholesale? And I think that's what we need to start with, right? So let's write down these bullet points, right? If you were to ask me what 3 things a wholesaler needs, I'm going to tell you right now, we need equity. No equity, no assignment fee, right? If you have a property that's low equity or negative equity, you can't really get it on contract for a discounted price. So there's no wholesaling opportunities there, unless you know other options and creative seller financing stuff. So we need equity, first and foremost. The second thing that's recommended is that it's off market or it's not contracted with another wholesaler, right? So off market property or a property that's not yet contracted. That's why we do equity, like high equity, and we make sure it's off market on the MLS. The third option is the hovering option, and that's what we call motivation. Because a person can have a lot of equity, a person can be off market, but why would they want to sell you their house? And that to me is the hard part, because that motivation could be 4 different items, like a pre-foreclosure, a lien, a bankruptcy. And all we're doing is when we're stacking multiple categories like the graph, we're increasing that motivation, right? So when we're stacking, yeah, we're going to go from 10,000 down to 6. But what does that mean? It means that these 6 properties have a higher probability of closing within the first or third follow-up, right? And not only that, it's a more controlled audience. I not only have 6, but I have 6 very, very motivated individuals that are going through a very, very serious situation. And so they don't have time to say, call me back in a month or call me back in 2 months, right? But what's the downfall to that? We're putting all of our eggs in 6 properties. And so what happens when you call all 6 of them and you realize all of them are already on contract? Back to the drawing board we go, right? But when we go back to the drawing board, it's still the same criteria: equity, off market, and that motivation could be a lien, it could be a bankruptcy. And so when you're adding multiple distress categories together, Lindsay, yeah, you are going to be lowering the numbers. And that's why I encourage you to think outside the box. And that's why that graph that I have was showing you that things don't just end up in pre-foreclosure, because look, we all start somewhere. And when I got into this, my mentor said, hey, just go get a list of pre-foreclosures and just knock on their doors. Okay, so that's what I did. Get a list of pre-foreclosures, started knocking on doors. And then as I realized, like, okay, well, no, people don't just show up in pre-foreclosure. And you know what I mean? And every pre-foreclosure I bump into, they're pissed off because they talked to other investors that didn't, work through with them and whatnot. So what I discovered is that motivation is just a problem. And now some of these problems could be very, very highly motivated, and we can make it by, again, a pre-foreclosure with the bankruptcy. But now we're going from 10,000 pre-foreclosures down to 12, right? And again, whether you want to deal with 12 or whether you want to deal with 10,000, that's up to you. But understand it's a numbers game. So you are going to market to maybe 100 people, and only 2 of them are going to sign a contract to you. But how important are those 2? Very important, because those 2 can change your life dramatically. Like, it can literally change your whole financial history, your whole financial back. It can change your whole your family's generation from that point. And that's why we, over the 15 years, decided we need to give them enough leads. We need to give them 10,000. Whether you, again, build it to where you're only getting 12 or building it to where you get 5,000, I'm going to leave that up to you. But at the end of the day, the core things you need are equity, off market, and motivation. How much motivation you're controlling will dictate how many results you get, a lot or little. And there is no right or wrong. It's just, at the end of the day, what are you capable of doing? If you're a solo operation, Lindsay, and you don't have a VA, you don't have much to spend on marketing, then you probably want 6 properties, because that's 6 properties you can go knock on this weekend. 6 people you can call, after you work your day job, or like me, I work a 9 to 5 at Propstream. Any investments I do is after hours, right? So I don't have the luxury to call 100 properties after 5 o'clock. I have to control it to where maybe I have 15. It's more reasonable. But those 15 are very motivated, because I'm stacking it to where I'm not calling 1,000 properties that just have a lien. I'm calling 1,000 properties that have a lien, or I'm sorry, calling 10 properties that have a lien that's $20,000 or more. So all I'm doing is, again, just controlling the volume to where it's good for me. As again, it's going to be hard, because you're going to want to do things like, I want a pre-foreclosure, I want a bankruptcy, I want a lien. You get like, okay, I marketed, now what? What I would suggest is remove one of them. So do a pre-foreclosure or lien that doesn't have a bankruptcy. And now you have 50 results, right? Because remember, you went from a lot and you got lower and lower. So go backwards, reverse engineer it. If you started with 6 because you did too many filters, then start releasing filters. Say, well, I don't want a pre-foreclosure. How about a lien and a bankruptcy then? Because that's over here. And so a pre-foreclosure with the bankruptcy, there's 12 of them. But what about a bankruptcy without a pre-foreclosure? There's probably 500 of them because they haven't turned into pre-foreclosure yet. So I know it's a cop-out answer, but there is no right or wrong way of filtering. Just know that the more you add, the lower the amount gets. And there's some pros and cons to that. But at the other end, when you're not filtering, you're dealing with a lot of results. And again, there's pros and cons to that, whether you're wasting your time, wasting money, and so forth.
And I want to touch on that too, Burton. One of the keys that I tell people all the time is when you have, you got to understand that there's going to be like your broad list, right? Which is just going to be like, hey, you're just going to say, I'm okay with just, you know, for example, just targeting everybody that has owned a property for 5 years and has over, you know, 35% equity or more. That's extremely broad. It's going to be more people that actually fit, you know, in that umbrella. So what we like to do is we like to take, you know, multiple layers of marketing. We're going to take the broad approach, which will, you know, this is going to be for people who obviously have the marketing budget, right? So people that's like in the training right now, if you're in a ronaproof training, everybody in here should be, right? So if you're in this training, what we've been working on is lists that have already kind of been filtered down to be a little bit more niche specific, because I know, market specific, because I know a lot of people's budgets aren't extremely huge. But what I would say is, and you got to understand, everything in this business is a market, is like the numbers game, right? So when you got access to 10,000 records, for example, a month, like honestly, I think nobody in here, probably like less than 2% of the people in here use the full 10,000 records a month at this point. The way that you get to using that amount of data is by broadening out your list, right? Meaning that you go from being like super detailed with like having to have multiple mortgages and all these different like layers of filters that we're using, to we're going to go more to like, let's look for people that have owned the house for a certain amount of time and have this amount of equity. And we're just going to send all those people a list. And we're not actually looking for that they also have to be in foreclosure or have a lien or have some other pain point that we're trying to identify. We're just like, the broader list, like, is always going to be just, okay, let's just send it to every fucking body that fits this, which could be thousands of people, right? So it's like, think about if you live in any area that you're in, if you look at Burton, I'll show my screen. You got Propstream still open?
Yeah, I do, man.
Just go to like Raleigh, North Carolina. I live in Raleigh. So when you guys look at like just Raleigh, North Carolina, for example, at high equity, right? So when the high equity list pulls up, it's 112,000 people that actually show some form of high equity. And Burton, what criteria is it that you guys use for high equity? What
50% or more to the value of the property, or 100,000 or more? It's both of them together.
So 50% or more?
Yeah, or $100,000 or more in equity.
Okay, so what you guys see right here, for example, think about it. How many of you in here can literally afford to send out 112,000 records in 1 month? Well, this is why we actually apply the filters. But the reality is that because we're looking for people that have high equity, the people that actually can take and send more marketing to these specific numbers, right? That 112,000, what does it open up? It opens up more opportunities. So this is going to be like, it's going to obviously be more people that probably aren't interested in actually doing business with you, but it's just simply playing a numbers game. So that's thinking from a broad perspective, right? So when you look at the actual high equity, so if you wanted just to go completely broad, you would say we would start off just from just targeting everybody that has, high equity on their property. And if you go whatever market that you're in, you can see that you would be sending out, a whole lot more leads. Well, when you start filtering down, you're going to get more and more and more of your leads are going to go away. So, for example, you go 10 years and then 50% equity individual owners. And that cut our list to what? So that's 64,000. And that's kind of like honestly, y'all, like that's my shit right there. Like I want people that's been in the house for a while, like at least 10 years. And then you're looking at 50% equity or more. So this would be my natural broad list, no matter what area I'm in. Like this is going to be okay if I can afford to do it. And I know everybody's different, so your budgets are different. But I'm telling you just from a marketing perspective to understand what you're looking at. So you now have filter that list from 112,000 down to 64,000 people who actually have owned a house for 10 years and they have at least 50% equity. That's good information to know. Obviously, that doesn't mean anything as far as like the likelihood that they're going to send, but what we want to do is we want to just create a bigger net that we're going to cast out to all these people that will have more room to actually be able to negotiate. So that's the whole idea of what I want you guys to understand. And then what you see in some of the other marketing lists when we start talking about tired landlords and all those pre-foreclosure, these are going to be more, filtered down to smaller lists. But the more that you can actually keep your list broad, so you want to have broad lists, and then you're going to have like your narrow, more targeted niche list. Because I know that most people here aren't going to be able to come in and market to 30 to 40,000 people per month. I typically ease you guys into like more narrow list to be able to get you obviously in contact with a potential lead that'll have a higher motivation. But this going from a broad perspective is absolutely a high recommendation. And I always tell people, if you get 10,000 records a month or more inside of Propstream, my recommendation is to make sure that you take advantage of it and download those records in order to be able to obviously make sure that you continuously market to more people. Because at the end of the day, the number one reason that wholesalers fail and the number one reason why most of you will fail is because you're simply not talking to enough fucking people. Like it's just simple as that. When we talk about, oh, if I got cash buyers and all that, the number one reason that wholesalers fail is they're not talking to enough people that got a house to sell. Simple put. Like, how many people in here can say that they like actually talked to a seller this week? It's Wednesday, right? Press a 1 if you have not talked to a seller this week. All right? Press a 1 if you haven't talked to a seller. That's going to give you the indication. Look how many people haven't connected to actual people that need to sell their house. And they're out there, even right now with this whole police brutality and all the shit that's happening, the COVID-19, there's still homeowners that need to sell their house. There's still houses that are being bought and sold on a daily basis. The biggest issue with everybody in here is that you ain't talking to them. Simple put, like y'all sitting there asking me about secret lists and SMS campaigns and lead Jenny drop campaign. Like, you want to know all this other shit. The number one thing that keeps you from getting money and getting paid in this business, you ain't talking to people that got the house. To hell with the cash buyer, to hell with which contractor you use, to hell with the title company and everything else. If I got a house and I need to get rid of it, or I need to sell it or whatever, and you ain't talking to me, we can't do business. We can't help you. You can't help me. So I always say, if you're in business and people don't know about you, your business doesn't exist. So everybody in here, if you're hearing my voice, you decided that you wanted a real estate business. There's people in your market right now that don't know you exist, so they can't flow you. People always say, right, if they don't know you, they can't flow you. This is the idea of where most of you fall short at. Like, I can't stress that enough. I know you hear me say it all the time, and I know people make excuses about, well, Tony, I don't have the resources or the funds, or I don't have whatever. That's why you fail. Like, if you're not talking to the homeowner, and I don't care if it's not the money. It's not the money. It's the creativity and being, obviously like resourceful with how you get in contact with people. Maybe you got to go door to door. Maybe you got to maybe you got to use the free resources until you can afford it. But the number one reason that people fail isn't because people aren't buying and selling houses. It's not because, they can't find a cash buyer. It's not because the title company's not closing. It's because they're simply not talking to people that need to sell their house. Simple as that. All right. Trey Watson.
Hello? Can you hear me?
Yes.
I was wondering, because I signed up with Propstream in October, but it don't let me do 5,000 leads. How do you increase the leads?
It should come with 10,000. What I would recommend, Mr. Watson, Trey Watson, give our customer support line a call. I don't know if you can see the chat box here, but give them a call. No, every account should be getting 10,000 leads every month. Now, I think what you're referring to is at a given moment when you save, you can only do 5,000 addresses at a given moment. So if I build a list of 10,000 results and I highlight all of them and I hit save, I can only save the first 5,000, and then I have to go back in there and save the remaining 5,000. I think that's probably what you're referring. That's a logic thing to, prevent a person from accidentally saving all 10,000 records.
Yeah.
So yeah, you get 10,000, but I think that's probably what you came across, is that you had more than 5,000 at one given time, and you try to save them all, and only the first 5,000 were stored. So call our customer support, and we can definitely, actually, better yet, let me just show you. So when you're,
because I was in a different program, but it doesn't say Propstream on the side. It says
oh,
Yeah, you
okay,
get that other bullshit.
yeah. So you got a white labeled version of our
you got
product,
that bullshit. You get it.
and yeah, that is probably a limited version. So if you haven't yet, definitely click on Tony's account or Tony's link, because you can sign up a separate account.
Well, it says Propstream when I'm being charged. It says it's Propstream.
That's because it is Propstream, but it's just a white labeled version of Propstream. So like it is Propstream. It's just we call it something else. You probably attended like a private educational course that was promoting Propstream.
I know where he went at. You need to come on to the dark side, brother. Go to closersdata.com. We get you signed.
So I can cancel that one and just.
Yeah, you can if you want. If you want to call our customer support, let them know, hey, I prefer the one with 10,000. Yeah, you can definitely do that.
For the same price?
Well, I don't know what the pricing was for that, and I can't discuss. I'm not going to pull up your account. Okay. So yeah, I mean, I would call customer support and speak to them about your situation. And our team is so good at just laying it out for you so that you can see the pros and cons of going with one or the other.
Yeah,
will I lose my lead?
Liz will make sure you're in a good spot, bro. We got you.
Will you use your leads? They will not transfer, so make sure you export them if you end up transferring.
Okay.
Yeah. Good question.
Come to the dark side, bro. It's all good, bro. We got you. Trey said, hey man, I'm trying to hold on to this old school game. I know where he went. Kayla.
Hi, Tony.
What's up, Kayla?
But I was calling, so I overheard him talk about it, and I wanted to clarify. So even if it's a motivated seller, when the actual seller themselves, they're in pre-foreclosure and they're trying to sell the property within like a week time frame, but they're dealing with a wholesaler themselves. So it's like as if I'm in contact with a whole nother wholesaler trying to sell the property, even though they're motivated and ready to get a contract ready.
So
I should I still take interest in this deal, even though I'm dealing with a wholesaler himself?
No, I would. Unless you like got a cash buyer that you can connect and just JV with that person.
Yeah, because I actually had someone that was interested in the property themselves, that they already gave me an offer and everything on the property. So, I mean, if I did take the deal hand in hand, the cash buyer is already ready to buy.
Yeah, I mean, if you got a buyer that you can connect, I would just offer that I would, before I do anything, I would sign a JV contract with that actual wholesaler, and then I would tell him that I have a buyer, we can connect and split the deal 50-50 if that's what you're doing.
Okay. Thank you.
All right. Any other Propstream related questions for Burton? Let's get Propstream questions. Lindsay, is that your hand again, or is that Lindsay's again? What's up?
Yeah, I just had a question about the landing pages that you guys provide within the campaign. Yeah. So if I guess obviously if you go through everything and do everything with Propstream and you do the campaigns and stuff like that, do you then don't need your own like website for your business? Because I know, Tony, you're like, oh, go ahead and set up yourself as a business. So
no, I would still recommend it. Again, this landing page is a call to action. It's so your business website is your your like brand, right? So this is a website that's going to talk upon what you do, your years of experience, your success stories, testimonials, and whatnot. This landing page is just a call to action for that group, right? So the idea is like, if I'm marketing to pre-foreclosures and I have my own website, I can be like, all right, everybody in your pre-foreclosure, everyone go to my website. But when they go to my website's not talking about like how I resolve pre-foreclosure. It's just talking about me and me only, right? So that could be a turnoff to some of these homeowners. So the reason why we created the landing page was, if you're going to campaign to a buyer's list, then use this campaign to talk to them about what you're doing, right? So if I'm campaigning to buyers, then what I'm going to do on my landing page is say, hey, I have a contract for you. Contract is $200,000. Rehab is $50,000. After repair value is $430,000. So that's what I would put on my landing page, so that when my buyers get to my landing page, they're reading, oh, wow, this kid already has a contract. We got to put 50 into rehab. It's going to sell for that. Let me fill out that application, right? But on my next campaign, which is bankruptcies, that landing page isn't talking about a contract I have. Now it's talking about, hey, I specialize in bankruptcies. I deal with chapter 7s, 11s, and 13s. If you need my help, fill out the form down below. So I can either create a website that discusses everything I do, which is your brand website, or these landing pages are a call to action to that particular situation. So if you have 4 campaigns, one's a tax lien, one's a pre-foreclosure, one's a bankruptcy, one's for cash buyer, then we're hoping that you have a landing page that represents each audience differently. So one talks about how you can solve tax lien, one talks about how you can offer a contract to the buyer, and so forth. Now, they're not mandatory. You don't need them. If you don't want to use our landing page and just have everybody go to your website, your actual website, go for it. But again, the reason why we created this is not just to call to an action, but to also apply that application. So it's like, hey, I can buy your house in 30 days. If you're in pre-foreclosure, fill out the form down below. So I'll leave that with you. I think you should use both. I think you should definitely have one that is associated to you and your brand, but definitely utilize our landing pages as, again, a call to action. But I think for me, the most important part is that application. If you fill out the application, I get an email, which is telling me that this is a warm lead. Otherwise, why would they have done that?
Okay, cool. And one more question.
Sure.
Nobody has one.
And you broke up.
Person. So as you're sending out your communication, does the system it does, I think, track how it's working for you? Does it track
that's what you're calling, that's what we call a CRM, or customer relations management system. We don't have that. So if you send out postcards, or if you do a ringless voicemail and someone calls you back, that's why I mentioned earlier in the voicemail part, we don't provide you a number because we're not a CRM. So once you release your marketing, it's all on you to monitor, who's calling back and all that good stuff. So our system doesn't connect the dots for you. So if you make a phone call and then someone calls you back on your cell phone, your phone number is not tied to Propstream. So it doesn't like pop up and say, hey, this is the person calling you and these are all their details. So once you do your marketing, you're going to have to do all the research manually, in sense of, hey, I'm interested in selling your house. Okay, hold on one second. What's your address? And then populate that information.
Okay.
I hope that that today's training kind of helped you understand like how to actually use Propstream a little bit better. Key thing that I want to just keep impressing on everybody is that is value in numbers. Like, this is all a numbers game, everyone. So the amount of people that you're talking to will directly reflect what your deal flow looks like. It's important to make sure that you create a pipeline that allows you to be able to have continuous leads coming in. And I said this earlier, like, the biggest struggle, the number one struggle for most investors is the simple fact that you're not talking to homeowners. It's like the number one thing that you aren't doing is marketing to enough people. And when I talk to a lot of people that get into this field, like, one of the biggest things that they come in with is like the false expectation is that like you can only talk to like 6 to 7 people and it's going to be like this magical 100K or whatever that's about to come rolling into your bank account. some people do have that level of success where they come in and they have a deal or so that they can talk to very few people because timing or whatever just kind of aligned for them. But most people have to talk to a great number of people. You got to go through a lot of leads, and the more leads that you can actually market to, the better you put yourself in a position to actually be able to grow your business. So when you look at some of the people that you might see online or whatever that have like these big wholesale operations, the key to their operations isn't that they're so amazing. They just fucking talking to a lot of people. They hire a lot of virtual assistants. They talk to, or they bring in a lot of salespeople, and they burn up the telephones all the time. And you got to make sure that you understand it like data is like the key to your business. What you put into your business obviously is going to be what you get out of it. And getting good data is what everybody needs. And this has been one of the things. Using this tool has helped so many of my students be able to get access to the data, obviously, that helped them get those deals. And Lindsay asked a good question earlier, which was like about how broad or how narrow a list should be. So I hope that gave everybody an understanding today now, understanding that you should be a little bit more broad at times, right? That allows you to be able to talk to more people. Remember, like, this is something I always tell people, like, if your list has a couple hundred people in it, think about it, in some of these bigger areas that you guys are marketing in, that's not even a full neighborhood, the size of your list. So think about it. If you say, hey, I'm in Texas or whatever, right? And you got a marketing list of a couple hundred people, shit, sometimes that's just one neighborhood if it's in a complete neighborhood in the entire state. So remember, if you freaking quit after just talking to half of a neighborhood or like one street on the neighborhood, you're like, you know what, this shit doesn't work. Like, you just got to put it in perspective, right? The whole idea is that you got to put the numbers to your advantage. And if you're not talking and communicating with enough people, then you can't be successful. The whole setup of having and using Propstream is a couple of things. First and foremost, access to really, really, really freaking amazing data. The next part about it is the ability to be able to filter down, so you can go from, like, if your budget doesn't allow a great broad list, then you can be a little bit more targeted to people that have the higher motivation, so you can at least be attempting to talk to the people that will be more likely and willing to sell. So when we have these failed listings and pre-foreclosure templates and entire landlord lists, all these people that we target right now, this is more like niche, smaller lists, right? Some of those lists aren't going to have, thousands. Some of them do, right? Depending on the area, but most of them are going to be, a couple hundred, type of people that you're talking to. So remember, that sample size, it could be that's not even the whole neighborhood sometimes, if you do the numbers of how many people you're actually marketing to. So think and understand that you still will want to take and cast some wide nets to be able to get some of the other people that just are sitting in the market with the equity and that have been in these homes for quite some time. But we got to understand as real estate investors that we got to have access to good data. We got to actually talk to the people that actually have these houses once we get the data, right? Because if we got all the information and then we're not talking to them, then it's impossible for us to ever get a contract. And then the rest of the steps after that, and I tell people, don't make wholesaling complicated. Like this is the one thing I see, like, out of a lot of people, is that we make this process complicated. We want to buy some shit for cheap and then sell to somebody else for more money. Like, that's the whole idea of wholesaling. Like, you go find something that's a good deal, you contract it for cheap, and then you sell that contract to somebody else. So our whole idea of what we need to be doing is marketing and talking to these people that have houses, so we can put ourselves in a position to effectively be able to go out and get paid and make money and do all the nice stuff that comes along with this business. Literally, last year, I don't want to lie, but last year, like around February-ish, January, February-ish, is when I actually started using Propstream. And within a couple months of that, of when I started using Propstream, is when I got one of my largest freaking deals, which made me an absolute believer. I know y'all seen my Yeah, I'm on the call, bro. Who is that? Oh, it's the mail person. Just tell
Hey,
him to leave it on the door.
Hey, Tony, I'm sorry to cut this short, man. I got another
You're good,
meeting.
Bert. Thank you.
Everybody, thanks for having me. Everybody stay safe and healthy. If you need anything, make sure to reach us out on our customer support, our Facebook group, or YouTube. Like and subscribe for all the updated videos and whatnot. And again, be prepared. Mobile app is coming out in about 2 weeks, definitely towards the end of this month, hopefully a little bit sooner than that. If you're a subscriber, you get it for free. So look out for that app. All right, guys. Thank you so much. Take care.
Thanks, Bert. But literally, like last year, I started using this exact system, right? And everything that I use, I share with you guys, which is important because, you know, a lot of times people promote shit or use shit that like they don't use. And when I was just like a lot of y'all with just trying to find the right resources, using the list source or trying to going to the courthouse, all these different ways of trying to generate leads. And I think it was like the second or the third month into having Propstream is when we had like just like that big jump, and we had the 6-figure months, and it was all because of the amount of data. I obviously had that 88.5 deal that you hear me talk about, but it all came literally out of that exact system that you guys are all having access to and using right now. The key to it, once again, you know, like for me, I got VAs, I got a team behind me that makes those calls and does all that stuff. So either you do the calls or somebody has to do that shit for you, right? You have to get on the phone with these sellers. If you're not talking to these sellers, it's impossible. Like, I'll just tell you that. Like, if you're not marketing to them, whether that's through text message, postcards, whatever, I don't teach the postcard method, all that stuff, because I know some of y'all just wouldn't consistently do it. You'd be sitting here bitching after you send out a couple hundred cards and they all came back to you. So I try to make it to where it's stuff that I know you're going to consistently do, like with the marketing, because I've already did some of this stuff before where I sent out $500,000, $2,000 worth of cards, and damn near every card come back to me. And guess what? I still had to pay that $2,000. I know a lot of y'all will be salty and be like, you know what? I ain't sending any more postcards. The realities are that marketing and this business is understanding that sometimes when you send out your first campaign, your second campaign, your third campaign, that person might not be prepared and ready for what you're marketing to them. So it takes multiple points of contact. Somebody might be in a position where they're opening up their mail and you're sending postcards, but at the time, like, they're not super motivated. Life hadn't happened to them yet. And then guess what? You market, and then COVID hits or something like that happens. And now this person that's been getting all those marketing campaigns is like, you know what? This might be the time that I actually need to get rid of this house because I can't afford it right now. That's kind of how marketing works. So it's not just going to be, okay, I sent out my first text message campaign, or I made my first call, or I sent out my first postcard, or whatever your marketing stream is that you use, and think that directly that means that the people that are there are going to be ready to go and do business. I just seen Vanessa Guzman's background. It just caught me off guard. I seen like water. I was like, yo, she on the beach. It's like, what the But that's the whole thing, right? Is to really make sure that you consistently are marketing, like, and don't get frustrated when you send out a campaign or something like that, and maybe not get as many results as you would like to get on the initial campaign. Some people right now, I mean, even with what we've been experiencing, like in the last 2 weeks with this whole protest and everything like that, some people not even in the damn house. They outside raising hell. Like, it's just the reality of it. So you got to understand that when you market. Like, there's shit that's going on. I mean, it's just, so sometimes you might be needing to take your 4th or 5th attempt before you actually even have the connection, all right? Do I use email marketing? Very little. My email marketing comes from my CRM, so it's automatically built inside of my my CRM I use. But not a lot of email marketing is going to be coming from my side. I do have, I know a lot of people been asking about a CRM. I'm literally like in the middle of getting one that's kind of like a a easy to consume for like the newbie CRM, because a lot of y'all just will get like, it's just like another thing that you be asking me a bunch of tech questions. So I'm trying to get one that's like going to be a little bit easier for everybody to consume. So I'm not having to deal with layers and layers of like confusion and techie questions. So there is some of that stuff on the way that I know like a lot of you need help with, like the organization aspect of it. And that'll definitely be a yes, you can ask a lead Genie question. What you got?
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay, so I'm not able to upload my new list to send my new campaign. And I don't know why, because I already did it, but it's not allowing me to do it. Maybe it's just like a technical issue and I already emailed support. But maybe it's a quick fix. Maybe it's something I'm not doing correct. Can I share my screen with you? Is that okay?
Yeah.
Okay. Can you see it?
No.
What?
Okay.
Host disabled attendee screen sharing, it says.
Yeah, let me fix that. Go ahead. I'll be having to cut off y'all buttons so y'all can't mess up my presentations.
All right. So,
Yep, that's why it's not working. You gotta get in Chrome. You in Chrome?
yeah, I did. I uploaded a Chrome actually, just for that same reason.
Because I just saw you was in Safari, so that's why it's not gonna work.
No, you're right. I was. Let me go on to Chrome. So this is Chrome, and then I go on to list management, view lists, and it takes me here. It says drop files or click upload. So I'm clicking upload, and here are all my skip trace leads. And so I click on it, and it does that, but it doesn't show up. Yeah. And I tried it several times too, and I logged out and I logged back in. I tried dragging the file. I tried.
Just send an email to support. If you just bump it right now, I'll have one of the tech guys look at it. I'm not sure what's happening right there. It's either the list or something inside that system. I'm not sure what it is.
Oh, okay. I sent it this morning. I skip traced it through Lead Genie, and then they sent it back to me, but it won't let me add it. And I sent them an email like around 10:30 this morning.
Yeah, bump it right now. Just send another one right now, and I'll get it escalated. Okay.
Okay. Thanks, Tony.
Thank you. She said, I need whatever system that you have that never lets me forget about the webinars and ask why we don't leave. That's a whole bunch of messages. We sent out a shitload of messages. Y'all, that's the one thing. Y'all don't like spending no money. It's just the reality of it. I spend the money. It's just to market, you got to spend freaking money. Every time you receive a text message from me or something like that, there's a cost that goes with a message. And my marketing list has hundreds of thousands of people on it. So when I send out a text message, it's going to hundreds and thousands of people. And I'm okay with that because it's part of marketing. And you got to be okay with spending money. I see some of the comments sometimes where people like don't like spending money, or they feel like the opportunity like of business, like you want to be able to be in front of your prospective clients where they can actually flow your business. I always say that to people: if they don't know you, they can't flow you. So if they don't know you got something going on, if they don't know that you got an event, if they don't know that you are a wholesaler that can help them sell their houses in the current condition, you can't do business with them. So make sure that you be okay with marketing. And you should embrace the fact that marketing is a part of this deal, right? And I know some of y'all be like, hey, I'm not a tech person, or I'm not like a salesperson, or like we always try to give ourselves like an excuse on why we don't do something, right? But well, I'm not really a good salesperson. I'm not like, yo, I wasn't a salesperson when I first started selling cars. I didn't know what I was doing. I didn't know shit about cars or whatever, but I was always talking to people who were on the lot. And who were the people on the lot? My clients, the people that wanted to actually do business and buy cars. You got to freaking talk to the people. My first month, I sold 22 cars. You know why? Not because I knew what the hell I was doing and I was some type of amazing salesperson, but if anybody walked on that fucking lot, if they drove on a lot, if they came through the dealership to get the car worked on, I was talking to them. Everybody had a conversation with me. I wanted to be their car guy. Like, hey, listen, I don't know what you're doing right now, Lindsay. I don't know if you're at the beginning of the process or you just looking or whatever. Like, well, guess what? Let me be your car person. Whenever you think about cars, you need to think about me. And this is what my mindset was going into it, is not being an expert, but talking to every single person that I knew expressed interest in actually buying a car. If they came on a lot, they had to be interested. That was my mindset. They had to have money. I didn't care if they was black, white, if they looked like they had $1 million, they looked like they was broke as fuck. Guess what? I talked to every one of them. Every single one of them. Like, everybody. And people were looking at me like, look at this idiot. He's just running around like his head, with a chicken with his head cut off. And guess what? I ran laps around everybody. So the biggest thing that I'm going to tell you guys, ladies as well, is don't feel like you got to be an expert. Don't feel like you got to be, you know, a guru or whatever the heck. Like, you don't need that. You need to talk to some people. And what you'll be surprised at, and just like I was, because I was honest with my a lot of my people, I was telling them, like, hey, look, I don't know about, I couldn't tell you at that point about the engine, transmission, torque, horsepower. I was completely clueless to anything about a car. I knew where to put gas at. That was it. Like, all the other stuff that I know now, I didn't know that. I couldn't have a conversation about active fuel management or like any of that stuff. Like, I can now. But when I first started, I was completely clueless. But I still had success because I was talking to the people that I wanted to do business with. This is the biggest fucking thing that we all fail in. We're not talking to the people we want to do business with. Like, people always ask for like this magical fucking answer. It's like, yo, talk to the people that have a house. You got to talk to them. No matter if you like scared to death that you might say the wrong thing, or you might think they know this, or whatever your excuse that you're telling yourself, I'm telling you, you just have to take the energy and the initiative to talk to people that got a house to sell. You will be amazed that half the people that you talk to aren't jerks, aren't, you know, super, like, they won't even know that you don't know. I would say this, like TDK. They don't know that you're brand new. They don't know that you just joined into my training. They don't know that you joined to a webinar on Sunday and now you're trying to sell real estate or buy contracts. They don't know. The only person that knows that shit is you and your homeboys and homegirls that you told about it. That's it. So you get in your head, most of y'all's failures come right here. You start talking yourself out of why you not gonna make the call. Oh, like Trey, man, I've been working all day, man. I'm tired, man. The post office done whoop my ass, man. I'm gonna call them tomorrow. And then it's another day and another day and another day. Anybody, right? And it's not picking on you, Trey, because I don't know what your situation is. I just seen your postal uniform. But we always do this. We look for something and then we run with that excuse on why we don't do it. Man, Tony ain't covered contracts yet, so I can't even call a seller because I don't know what to do. This is literally what people would do. Like, man, I ain't found my title company yet, so ain't no need for me to, you know, to take no other steps. And then you talk yourself completely out of actually taking steps in the business. Your success in any business, whether it's this business or anything, is gonna come by you actually doing the shit that you say you want to do. If you say you want to be in the real estate game and you're not talking to people about real estate, are you really in real estate? It's like, if you want to sell cars, if you want to sell Xboxes, or you want to sell a headset, you got to talk to people that want to buy that. You got to do business with the people that's interested in whatever that is that you're attempting to do. And I really got to emphasize that to everybody. Stop being afraid and stop making excuses. Like, you have to take initiative into the work that you say that you want. My goodness, you'll be surprised at how many people I've cursed out one day because they haven't made a call. So they're like, you know what? I'll try it out just this one time, you know? And then guess what happens? They end up getting a contract or something like that because they actually first take that initiative to start talking to people. and this is one of the biggest things, I gotta keep saying it. You have to take the step. Like, no matter what your budget is, no matter how much money you got, no matter how much, you feel like you don't know yet, you got to start talking to people. I want you to win. I want you to be successful. But it's like our mind goes to like the flight or fight, right? Fight or flight. And most of y'all just run. It's the flight initially. You're just gonna take off. You're like, you know what? I'm terrified of the unknown. And I feel like there's so many gaps in the knowledge that I have, so I'm not going to do anything at all. And this is where it becomes like to your detriment. You can't get inside of a training, you can't invest into something and then have a fear that you're going to fail and don't do anything with it, because at that point you're going to like set yourself up for failure. Like, and a lot of people in here have set themselves up for failure, and then they're going to be looking for somebody to point the finger at. Like, I've seen so many people that do calls with me and they go, hey, I bought this person's course or that person's course and it didn't work for me. And like the common denominator, like, and a lot of the shit is the lack of action that you've taken. Because, some people's shit is trash, and I get that. But like, the reality is, even if you take enough action, like people that have like no, like I'm talking, I've got some people that have, like, I just knew that there was no shot in hell that it was going to work for them. Like, I was like, there's no way this person's going to ever do anything. But they were shocked the hell out of me, because guess what? They were so crazy, and so they didn't care about anything but taking the action, right? And then there's people that I'm like super excited. I hear how well you speak and how well that you understand the concepts, and you don't do shit because you analyzing everything. And then the person that I'm sitting there like discrediting and saying, oh, this dude ain't serious about this shit. But guess what? He like, I'm broke. I'm calling everybody. Fuck that. I'm on the phone. I gotta get out of this spot. That person wins. While the person that's all educated and know all the lingo and everything else, they ain't even in the game, because they know too much. They wanna be the expert instead of the person that's hungry enough to go out and get it done. So if you're hungry enough, you're gonna understand that the number one thing that we want to use out of everything is taking this data that we have available to us and actually communicating with people who have properties. Remember, like when we use these lists, like the tired landlords and all these people that have like failed listings with mortgages and all these things. These are our people that we know obviously have some sort of a motivation to sell, whether it's like the bank is making them sell, or they try to list their house and try to sell it. So there's some sort of a motivation there. Does it mean that they're going to want to sell it for a discount? No, but we got to put ourselves in a position to actually talk to those people, because there are people that will sell it for a discount because they actually need to get rid of the property. Let me get these last two questions. Who is this? Pamela Taylor. Yes.
How are you doing today, Tony?
Hey, how's it going?
Okay, got a question for you. I'm talking with the seller, and he has a property, but he has like 2 lots or plots in the back as well that he wants encompassed in the price. How would I go about trying to do a comp for that? Can I even do that?
Most of the time when people try to, like, they be thinking that their little piece of corner of land is worth, something. Like, it ain't worth shit. like most of the time people are like, yeah, I got like, it's not, you can't do nothing with it. Like, I just tell people, like, let's work on the property. Like, we get, like, the main focus is going to be actually selling the house. Like, okay. Unless it's like an astronomical amount of like land where it's like a couple, acres or something like that. Like, a lot of times people be trying to sell, like the corner adjacent to where it's like split between them and a neighbor and somebody else. Like, it ain't worth anything. Like, so.
And can I ask you one more question?
Mm-hmm.
I have a contract.
Okay.
So what are my next steps? Do you already have a video that tells us like our next steps once you get the contract signed?
What, are you in the Rona training or the Final 31 training?
Rona.
All right, I had to double check because we sent out a message for everybody. So in the Rona training, you would get to locate your cash buyers. I don't know what steps you've taken as far as marketing your deal at this point. But
nothing yet, because I just got it today. So nothing yet.
Oh, so congratulations. First
contract
today? It's the first one?
Yes, sir.
So you actually called somebody?
Yeah.
Who you call?
I don't know. Actually, to be honest, I'm getting mine through the SMS. So
That's what
I'm letting them tell me.
That's what I expect. Most of y'all should be using SMS. That's why I train it. Like, it's like you hear me say it frequently AF, right? I talk about text. But what was this? Where was this lead come from? Like, was it a one of the
Tire landlords.
tire landlords?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
I have a few. I've actually gotten quite a few leads in my pipeline just from that.
How long you been in, Pam?
Since May 10th.
Okay, so you've been here a little bit. Okay, I thought you was like new.
Yeah, May 10th.
So with like marketing your deals, we had a couple videos that actually talk about how you find your deals and getting inside and marketing inside of like the Facebook groups. I gotta figure that video is in the training. I gotta figure out we're gonna start marketing and changing some of this stuff around so you guys will be able to find it a little bit easier. But
so I don't have to do nothing with the title company or anything just yet.
Not yet. What I would tell you to do right now is go find a buyer.
Okay.
First thing you're gonna do is find your buyer. If you already have been following my template, you have a title company in place, right?
Yep.
So next step would be marketing that deal to cash buyers, and then from there you would go to somebody said, Gloria said, told y'all this shit works. Go to you can post in like the Facebook Marketplace. And Craigslist.
Okay.
You want to obviously just one of the things I'm gonna put together a little dispo thing for you guys. I'll do that. I'll make a video.
Thank you.
All right, good job, Pam.
Thank you.
Pam said, I just been out here sending texts. I ain't called nobody. Get your ass on phone, call somebody, Pam. She said, honestly, I ain't did no calling, but y'all be hating to call somebody, boy. I swear y'all just be like, I ain't never seen nothing like it. Eddie, what you got, buddy?
Tone, I was just curious because I've been kind of going through my list. How, like, when you run through your list and through call tools and you go through all the leads, how long do you wait till you recycle that list and follow up?
That's more of a Tina question, and because of my VA, the way my VAs and everything now, my VAs have been with me for some time, so they know like when their list is kind of getting exhausted, and they'll let me know what they need. They'll let Tina know what they need, so continuously be able to kind of feed their pipeline. But just through dials, like knowing how many actual like there, I don't know all that shit honestly. Like the call to side, I don't touch it. I don't call nobody no more. I don't do it.
Do you have any thoughts on, like, for instance, if I knock a list out today, do I wait like a couple weeks or next month?
Oh no, I ain't wait no weeks. I called, like, you see how you get text messages and all that stuff from me until you buy? Hey, listen, man, like a couple weeks, I'm going to be in front of you taking the deal that you've been marketing to. Just understand that. You take your time. But understand, as long as you take, there's opportunity for somebody to come up underneath where you at and lock up those contracts. I believe in taking, obviously I told you guys, for everybody that's been paying attention, anywhere between 2,500 and 3,000 leads per week should be what you should be targeting. And I would take, and try to exhaust those leads every week, just calling through those, and then I would basically try to take maybe a week off, and not just continue to put them in a cycle and just keep pushing them through. We want to hit all our lists, and I'll just be honest, like a lot of you that don't have a virtual assistant, it's going to be a little bit challenging to like continue to do that if you got 9 to 5s. But if you can just make time to just dial, this is going to be where you just put it to your benefit. So I don't care how many times I call, unless somebody tells me to remove them, I'm gonna keep hitting them up. Like, they're either going to tell me that they want to do business or they don't want to do business. Like, that's my philosophy. Like, we're not going to complicate saying, well, it's 24 days or it's 25 days. Like, let me call you until you say, yes, I'm interested, or remove me off your list. I get emails all the time from people say, I don't want another fucking email from you, Tony. You done sent me 37,000 emails and I'm done. And I'm okay with that. But until you tell me to take you off that list, you're going to get this work. Like, that's just how it has to be that way. Like, you're going to get all my marketing, because I'm not sure if you're receiving my marketing, if you opened the mail, if you heard the phone, if you got the text. Sometimes people send me text messages, and because I'm doing other stuff, I don't even realize that I got multiple messages on my phone before you know it or whatever, right? So you just want to continue to just keep going and going. And somebody might be busy, they might not have seen it, and just the right time will be what you need to be able to get the connection. Because at the end of the day, we have to establish connection with the seller. The text message, phone call, email, it's all to make the connection. Once you make the connection, we have the conversation. The most important part, though, is making the connection. We got to find somebody to say, hey, yes, I am interested. And then once you make the connection, then we can go through the conversation about what they got going on, and making that, that rest of that stuff make sense. So everybody in here, like, don't overcomplicate the process. Call till they tell you to stop calling. Like, text until they say stop texting me. All right? Like, that's just like to avoid like any, like, let's put X amount of days and follow-up campaigns and sequences. Let's go, hey, listen, let's just keep following up, reaching out to people. And then and you'll know, like, because the people that actually engage with you and talk to you, they're going to let you know where they are. The people that you haven't connected with, it could be multiple things, either wrong phone number, bad timing, whatever it might be. So I'm going to assume that they didn't get my message. I'm going to assume that they didn't get my call. Like, don't assume that they got your call. Don't assume that they got your message. I'm going to assume the opposite. All right? I'm going to give them the benefit of the doubt that they were busy and they ain't see it. And if they say, hey, man, I seen you call me 15 times. Hey, my bad. You never responded. So I wanted to be sure that you indeed knew that I would help you, sell your house. I'm looking to buy 2 to 3 properties for the month is out. And if you're interested in selling, I'm your guy or lady. That's the whole idea, because I think a lot of y'all assume, oh, I made a call. Let me wait. Let me call them back next week. What? They might not even heard. If you don't leave a voicemail or whatever, they might not check their voicemail. They might not even know that you called. They don't know the number. They might not even check because they don't know your number, right? So if they not checking, then you just assuming that, let me just follow up later. Somebody else is being more aggressive. They're gonna get those opportunities. So make sure that you understand that you want to be aggressive. You want to be like really, really hard, and not OD, right? You ain't gotta be calling nobody like they done stole, like like that's like some of y'all be calling like y'all significant others when you can't find them at night or something like that. You don't want to call them like that. You just want to you just want to have a system of just keeping the contact with people. All right.
Yep. Thank you.
All right. Gary.
Yo, what's going on, Tom?
How you doing, man?
Pretty good. So I talked to probably like about 3 sellers between this week and last week. And one of the things that was coming up was like when I was trying to talk to people to initially qualify them and stuff, like when it got to the point of me talking about like getting pictures of the property, they were like, oh, you don't need to see any pictures, just make me an offer. And so like my thing is like, what would be like a good rebuttal for that? I said to him, I was like, yo, I kind of use the idea of car sales. I'm like, yo, I'm not gonna buy a car that I can't see.
They're not motivated to sell, Gary.
Okay.
If somebody would literally tell you to make them an offer, and I would say this to them, I say, hey, Gary, we done spent 20, 30 minutes on the phone, so I'm serious about buying your house, right?
Yeah.
But you can't be serious that you would actually expect me to make you an offer without actually being able to see what I'm putting my money up to.
Right.
Here's what I need from you. I just need to get a few pictures. It don't have to be like you got to be a professional photographer, but I just need to see what I'm actually investing into.
Okay.
So like everybody understand this. Like some people just want to get straight to an offer. Hey, sir, ma'am, I'd be glad to give you an offer. Like that's the easiest part of my job is making offers. But I can't make an offer without seeing what exactly I'm making an offer to, right? Well, you can make it based off the pictures that's online. Well, I can't assume that it's still in the current condition that these online pictures were. That were there any updates or any additions or subtractions? Like, did the mob come and blow it up the other day when they were looting? Like, I make fun out of it. I even throw some shit in there. I'm like, hey, look, I don't know if it got looted. Like, somebody could have burnt your house. I need updated pictures.
Right.
But everybody has to understand that, you know, if somebody is truly motivated, they're not going to tell you, hey, I'm not willing to give you information that's going to help you give me an offer. Like, anybody that's truly looking to sell, now if they're older or whatever like that, y'all, like, go ahead and start working on your doing the MAO based off kind of what you have, right? I don't want y'all to not getting pictures, not get you to take action. Shit, I'm gonna make my offer that more disgusting. Like, quite honestly, I'll even say that to a seller. Hey, Gary, man, like, I'm just gonna tell you. You tell me to make an offer without being able to see it, so I'm just gonna be cautious in my approach, because I'd rather be wrong and be able to go up than go down.
Right.
And I would just tell them that, and then I would make them a fucking disgusting offer. Hey, how you gonna offer me? You told me that you didn't want me to see any pictures of it. So what you want me to do?
Right.
I'm just pushing it back to them. And I know a lot of y'all had that conversation because all y'all want to go like strictly by the book. You got to be able to have like you got to have like that idea of understanding that if you're in a position that you're somebody that's saying that you're going to buy 2 to 3 properties before the month is out, because that's our approach, right? We tell all these people that, look, we can buy 2 to 3 properties before the month is out. So if I'm telling somebody I'm looking to purchase 2 to 3 properties, that's how I started the call with them. How the heck can I get on the phone with them and say, hey, I'm going to invest my money with you, sight unseen, right? Sight unseen into something that's my hard-earned money. It just don't make good sense.
Mm-hmm.
So if I'm going to be looking to purchase your property, like, did you buy your house without seeing it, or did you see it? Hey, Gary, let me ask you a question. When you purchased your home, did you see it, or did you just how did you do that? Like, I'm gonna ask them. I'm gonna make them feel like they're dumb as shit for telling me that they want me to make an offer without seeing it. Hey, Gary, so when you bought your house, did you actually look at it? Or you just made an offer? And most people, like, you just got to tell them like the shit that they already know. They want an offer, but they don't, they want to be lazy. A lot of them do be wanting a number, but they're just lazy.
Right.
It's just the reality. Hey, look, hey, Gary, you can understand if I'm out of state. If I was in a state investor, I'd be glad to just come by and take a look at it. But I would assume when you purchase your home, you actually had eyeballs, you laid eyes on it, right? Because I'm out of state, I need your help.
Right.
I'd be glad to make an offer. I'd be glad to give you all the numbers. Like, and I know your time is important. You don't want to waste your time, and I can respect that. I don't want to waste mine either. But you didn't buy this house without looking at it, did you? I mean, like, you simply you can understand why I wouldn't do the same. Be glad to give you an offer, but if I give you an offer without some actual pictures of the property, I'm gonna have to be a little cautious in my approach and what I offer.
Mm-hmm.
So that way, when you give them that low ass offer, they can't even get mad because, hey, look, all I did was give an offer based off not being able to see anything.
Got it.
All right.
Yep. Thanks.
You're welcome. Chanel?
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay. Hey, Tony. Hey, everybody. I had a question about calling. So I've done like text blast campaigns, and I'm calling people that have like their residential number as their primary phone number, things like that. A question I wanted to ask you is, so like when you were mentioning earlier, like when some of us are still, working 9 to 5, don't really have the time to call. So I actually work overnight 7 to 7. So the days that I'm off, I try to do like a bulk of my calling in my off days, like for example, today and tomorrow. So I'm trying to like put those numbers through the do not call list, but I'm only able to do a certain amount at a time. Like, is there a suggestion you have for that, or?
I'll give y'all all a real suggestion when it comes to the do not call list. If you scrub all your listings and do not call list, you ain't gonna have nobody to damn call.
Yeah. I've been noticing that. Like because one, it gives you a minimum of how many minutes to do, and then it's most of them are on there.
On the do not call list. I mean, everybody and their mama. So, I mean, everybody tell you do this at your own, whatever you call it, right? Your own risk.
Yeah.
But 99% of the people I know don't give a shit about somebody being on do not call list. You're gonna have less than 0%, 0.1% of the people that will be like extremely offended. And it's simply like, and because we're not calling as if we're like this big national company or whatever, you're just saying you're an investor looking to buy a property.
Right.
Most of the time, you're going to get somebody that even if they're frustrated, if you just say, hey, look, no harm, meant by it, I apologize and hang up. Most people, I've never had anybody that's come back and tried to sue me or any of that stuff. I do see like some of these guys online that like to troll the people and be little dickheads and all that stuff. Don't play with anybody. When they say don't call them, don't continue to try to like make a pitch or whatever. Like be sensitive to the fact that you are calling somebody without their fucking permission, right? So
Right.
I seen a video that really pissed me off in one of the Facebook groups. It's not one of my groups, but it was like one of the like two guys were like calling the seller, and the seller was, you could hear he was going off, and like he's like, so you sure you don't want to sell? Like, and like they're like laughing and like making fun of it. Like those are the ones that like for when everybody else calls and that guy calls, now he's gonna be ready to fucking because people like that, right? They're playing with somebody that obviously like isn't interested in selling, and just like I don't like that. So like if somebody tells you like, hey, no, take me off your list or whatever, hey, apologize, click, now I'm done. If they call me back or whatever, done. I ain't answering the fucking phone no more. I ain't going back and forth. I ain't doing none of that. Hey, apologize, got the wrong number. Bye. Click. That helps you avoid a lot of the unnecessary crap. And I make millions of calls. Like my lead genie company, all that stuff, we call for all y'all, like a lot of y'all, right? So we are dialing like crazy. We call a lot of people on the do not call list. Thankfully, we haven't had a single freaking issue as long as the company's been in existence.
Okay.
But I'm gonna tell that to everybody. It's the way that you handle that call, right? Like if you sitting there freaking trolling somebody or continuously calling them, like they're gonna escalate how they handle you. So a lot of times it's like take the person off the list and keep it moving. Like don't be a jerk. Like some of y'all like want to take it personal when somebody curses you out that you call them. Like listen, they ain't ask you to call them, so sometimes you gotta be okay with somebody might say some slick shit. It's just part of the game. But hey, apologize. Thank you. Have a nice day. Won't call you again. Like they can't say nothing after that. Like as much as they would want to, it's like nothing that you can really say. So just keep that in mind.
I've had a few of those too, where I was like, I apologize, thank you for your time, and they kind of switched it up and was like, thank you for being respectful. I mean, we ended the call, but they at least were,
They'll tell you. They'll say thank you for being respectful because there's a lot of people that's just like complete jerks. They like it's some of these guys that they just think it's funny when they see somebody getting upset because what you guys aren't realizing is somebody's on the foreclosure list, right? Say you in Houston, Texas, and you're on the foreclosure list. Who gets access to that? Everybody. Everybody. Yeah. You could be the 67th fucking person to call this dude today.
Yeah.
You could literally be the 67th person that's called him like, dude, like they could be like, don't freaking call. Hey, you know what? Understand.
Yeah.
You calling somebody that's dealing with probate. Guess what? The family members could have potentially just died, right? Keep that in mind. So, hey, it might not be the best time. So you just, hey, look, I apologize, no disrespect. Click. Just having some understanding and some professional coof. I think a lot of people like lack that for whatever reason. Like I see people get in the group and they want to show off that they got cursed out by somebody and all that. I know y'all hear me curse a lot and all that, but when I'm on the phone with the seller, I'm super respectful, right? Y'all, you gotta know when to play, when not to play. Like it's a time for that stuff, and I think so many people like they want to play at bad times, and that's why people be getting their ass sued, and people be trying to come at them super hard. If you're respectful to somebody, no matter the race or whatever it is, if you respectful, people typically will fall back.
Yeah.
Like they just gonna fall back. But when you continue to push, like I wish I had recorded that video. If y'all would have saw the video, I was like, bro, what are y'all doing? So you sure? I mean, it was just like they were literally antagonizing the dude, and the dude was like, he was cursing more and more and more. You can tell like he's pissing the seller off, and like you can hear him snickering and laughing, and that stuff right there is like, it causes issues. It causes issues for everybody because they're not taking the business serious, right? So, that'll be my recommendation though, and just everybody, the do not call list. If you scrub that in call tools. In most lists, like it's just gonna be completely depleted. Like it will be. Everybody's gonna do that call list. So
yeah, for like all their numbers too.
Yep. Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like, so I would just be quite honest. Like, I don't scrub against the do not call list. Now inside of Lead Jimmy Drop, I do use a known litigators scrub list. Because if you know that they ask me, if they be suing, I'm cool on them. Like we ain't gonna hit them up. Like if we know that they suing, we hit them up. Like we gonna leave them people alone. But outside of that, I don't use that at all. Thanks
okay, thank you. I definitely did check that litigators box though, so I appreciate it.
Yeah, that's one that I would just. I mean, just for less than a tenth of a penny, whatever. Yeah, I'm doing that all day long.
Thank you.
All right, thank you. Pete? Actually, maybe you can go ahead, Pete. You got it.
Hey, just a quick question. You had mentioned virtual assistants early in the conversation. And I was wondering if there was going to be anything in the training that might be added for like setting up, if you're going to, like, for example, if you're going to do call tools and have a VA make calls for you, if we're going to have anything as far as account setup or anything like that, or is that strictly through call tools that we would get that?
Yeah, you want me to do like that's like a whole nother level of it. Like,
I'm just asking. I'm I don't know.
That's kind of out of the scope, but
okay.
I'm sure. I mean, Chase and those guys are really helpful. I mean, I'm sure that they would assist you.
Okay. Yeah, I'm gonna get with them about it. So I was just wondering if that was something, because I know you mentioned you're going to be changing some of the training up. So I didn't know if that was going to be something in it.
So really, like inside the training, what I'm going to be doing is just making it kind of like where you guys can go in and navigate and know like kind of where you are, maybe a question that you have, and it'll just be kind of like mapped that way. I just want to kind of map it around a little bit different, but the whole idea is, like I told you, I want to help you guys all be able to build a real estate business, and what that consists of is the ability to be able to find and sell deals, build out your team. Like, obviously, like I shared, like going where you can find your VAs, whether you go through like me or like hiring your own. Those things do make life easier, but yeah. Not gonna go into like my VAs. I ain't doing that. Yeah.
Okay, I understand. It was just a question.
Appreciate you though, Pete. How's your marketing going?
Mine?
Yeah.
Oh, I didn't know if you were talking about everybody or me. That's kind of one of the reasons why I'm asking about it, because I'm realizing that I need to. I'm not scared to get on the phone with the sellers, but I'm trying to maximize my time. So I'm looking to do the VA, to have them do the calls, and they send me the warm leads. But I want to do that because I still want to do the for sale by owners. I still want to do the Go Section 8 also. But at least I figure if I can get a VA to at least call those leads and warm them up, then I can kind of, have a couple different strokes at trying to get that home run.
I ain't gonna like. every one of you at some point should be investing into either getting a virtual assistant, building out that team. Like it's so powerful, like so powerful. It buys you back so much time. So I would definitely make that recommendation again for each and every one of you to make sure that you go out and start building up that. Like obviously, you know, my company Lead Genie, we can make calls for you guys. So for you that don't have time or feel like you're making mistakes in your calls or whatever, you can do that. Also, definitely recommend you at some point bringing on and starting to build out your own team. You know, like so you can buy freedom and obviously have people in position to do some of that stuff for you. Thanks, Pete.
Appreciate it.
Last question, Trey. We're going to wrap this up. Did you have another question, Trey? You still muted. Unmute yourself. You talking, but you muted. We can't hear you, Trey.
Oh, when you do the SMS blast, are you funneling it back to your phone, or does it just stay in the CRM, or does it go to a VA?
So we got all kind of like, I wouldn't tell you to try to compare what I'm doing because my setup's a little different. But what I would recommend is that you got to kind of have like you're gonna probably be like, how many people you got in your company? Just you, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So everything would just come back to either your call rail number or whatever for the time being. Yep.
Okay.
Yep. So you just you would have all those. I wouldn't have it coming directly to my phone unless, you know, I would either get a Google Voice number or a call rail number.
Okay.
All right, y'all. So Friday, we'll be doing a live cold call training, working on our framework, and then going into live, you know, action. Right. So make sure that you go ahead and get all your lists prepared, have everything that you need, so we can do the live call Friday. Remember, none of this stuff works unless you work. All right. Like none of this stuff works unless you work. So this week, you know, we got a lot of people still obviously and understandably distracted. Like our numbers are a little off, like extremely off, honestly, for the amount of people that's in this training and the amount of people that's coming live right now. And I know people are getting distracted with some of the social injustice issues and everything that's going on. And I honestly, like, you know, I want to make sure that everybody understands is that there is a lot that's unfortunately going on in the society right now, but you still have a responsibility to yourself to ensure that you put yourself in a position that you want to be in, coming out of all this stuff. Like when you look at like a lot of successful people, like, you know, you look at them talking about Jeff Bezos and all these people that are becoming billionaires throughout this pandemic. It's because of some of the stuff they had set up and the action that they're taking. Yes, life is happening. There's a lot of BS happening. It's a lot of things that we all obviously probably don't agree on and want to see be different. But we also have to make sure that we don't forget some of the stuff that was important to us and why we started what we're doing right now. I think everybody in here can obviously, like, you know, say that they came here because they wanted to make more money. They wanted to be able to change their current situation. And the ways that we do this stuff is by finishing what we started, first and foremost. That means showing up. If you don't show up, nothing works, right? Like the first part of this stuff is that, like, when we have these trainings, y'all, I want y'all to understand that you guys paid for the course. Like most of you didn't, you know, like these live calls that I'm doing, like I do these because I want to make sure that you're actually taking action so you can be successful, that you can get your questions answered, and that I can fill in all the little the holes that you might have as far as gaps. So take advantage of all this stuff. Get your money's worth. Use the accountability groups. Like you should all be having accountability partners. You should all be inside of the Telegram and Facebook group, actually using it, leveraging all the resources in the actual portal and then going back and actually watching the videos and the trainings and all the stuff that we cover to make sure that you understand it, make sure that you are confident with how you position yourself, making sure that you're confident with even your framework and how you say who you are, what we do, and how's that benefit, right? We need to be working on this stuff even through all the actual chaos and life and everything that's happening, or we're going to still be in the standstill. I don't want you spinning your tires in the mud. I want you to feel confident. I want you to be certain. I want you to really take this stuff and really just lock into what you say that you want and the reason why you invested your time and money into this training. It's really right here for us, y'all. Remember, what we do right now isn't just impacting like just immediately, but we will have a lot of benefits that'll just be down the line from what you're calling, who you're communicating with. I got a lot of people that's telling me right now, hey, I'm getting deals from people that I talked to 6 months ago, right? So some of my students that had got into trainings and like last year's trainings, they're now starting to get rewarded for some of that stuff. So be mindful, like everything that you do right now has an impact on like the stuff that'll happen for you 6 months from now, a year from now. Like, and just, I'm gonna go ahead and cut off the recording because that's